Welcome to 3 hours of maps, where I compiled together all of the previous maps I've used in my videos. If you actually watch this, you are crazy. This very first map shows us all the countries mentioned in the Bible. Now, since this map is taken from Reddit, there is one country that is missing from this map, and I found it. Let me know if you can see it. Of course, it's Cyprus. Apart from that, it must be a pretty cool feeling to know that your country was mentioned in the Bible. However, I'm confused that France and China, for example, aren't mentioned. Now, how can I make this video without mentioning the elections? This map shows us the shift in votes compared to the 2020 elections. The longer the arrow, the more votes were gained for said party. Oh geez, that's a lot of red. Politics aside, this is actually a really good visualization format. And now, talking about politics, are you happy with Trump becoming the president? Map of Europe made up of its national animals. This map is actually pretty amazing. And it's funny how Corsica is just an egg, laid by the rooster. That is confusing. And I know you might be asking, why the hell does Europe have so many eagles? Well, because of the Roman influence. The United Kingdom just looks like a crazy made up animal. Here is a map showing the most honest countries in the world. The countries that do not self-identify as democratic. Some other countries, and I really mean some other countries, should look up to their honesty. I know this is not related, but where the hell is New Zealand? I'm sorry, Kiwis. This is a sad and crazy one. Percentage of women subjected to genital cutting in the Middle East. I actually never knew Egypt was so high on the list. I've traveled there 2 times and these numbers are crazy. But what I also think is that there is absolutely no way this map is accurate. And well, if it is, I really hope they have some social reform and make this kind of thing illegal. These are the Russian advances in Ukraine this year, 2024. It is crazy. So many young people dead for 30 kilometers. It's frankly saddening. Here in this video, the advance doesn't look huge, but in reality, it's quite a lot. As an Estonian living next to the Russian border, I'm ready but also scared to see how Trump will manage this situation. And talking about the Trump's plan, here is actually a considered peace plan shown on a map. It's literally build a wall and let Europe pay for it. Well, the plan is to build an 800-mile demilitarized buffer zone along the current front lines in eastern Ukraine. They would be monitored by the European troops from United Kingdom, Germany and France. This is Trump's diplomatic solution to address the ongoing tensions in Ukraine without involving direct United States military intervention. According to the Harvard School in 2017, these are the countries in the Western Sphere. It's all fun and games until you understand that the Philippines is undergoing westernization since 1521. Damn, that's a long ass time. To be honest, Western core sounds like a music genre. All the countries without a metro system in Europe. None of the countries that don't have a metro system surprise me. The Baltic and Balkan countries are brothers as always, but what surprises me is that Ukraine, Romania, Turkey and Belarus, for example, have a metro system. What the hell? Okay, I searched it up. Yes, Belarus has a metro system. It's called Minsk Metro. And it looks astonishing. Whoa. I wish we had something like that in Estonia. Map of where the internet was available in 1969. In October 1969, computers at the Stanford and UCLA connected for the first time. In effect, they were the first hosts on what would one day become the internet. It is absolutely astonishing how fast the internet has been developing. This map shows us the countries with compulsory voting. Damn, that's interesting. I actually didn't know that apart from North Korea, in some other countries you had compulsory voting. I actually find the idea of an election being compulsory nice, I would say. Everyone should vote, it's your country. What do you think? Am I an idiot or no? Also, a fun fact is that in Brazil, if you don't show up to the polls, you just pay a small fine. It's like 50 cents. People from Sweden, this one's for you. This is Sweden when they voted on to change to euro currency. 56% voted against the euro, but the biggest populated regions voted yes. Basically, this shows us where the people live, in the cities. Oh, and by the way, this was in September 14th, 2003. These next maps will show you the progression of the complete destruction of the Gaza Strip. It doesn't matter if you're pro-Palestine or pro-Israel, this is really sad, and it was never really about Gaza. Iran has been pulling the strings behind this entire conflict, and the Hamas attack came when Israel and Saudi Arabia were normalizing relations. But to remind you, I am neutral. The religion map of Germany. Yeah, I know, you were thinking you would see Islam here. Well, not yet. Soon, maybe. What has always really fascinated me is how crazily the Soviet Union influenced East Germany. It's literally now a part of Eastern Europe. Germans watching this video, I'm actually genuinely interested. Are you religious or not? Comment down below and I'll give your comment a heart. I will try. Did you know that the pollution in India and Pakistan is insane right now? My subscribers living there, I honestly don't know how you survive it. I read somewhere that over 300 meters is already hazardous and you guys live like 3000 meters above sea level. You are crazy. This was Sir Christopher Wren's unrealized proposal for City of London after 1666, the fire. I love the details, but yeah, this one didn't get accepted, but honestly it just looks amazing. You might think that this would have been a copy of Paris, but let me remind you, this was before Paris. And now, I'ma just let you enjoy this last map. Coffee or tea? Which one does your country prefer? What you are looking at is the Sahara Desert today and 6,000 years ago. What I find really interesting is that before this, 14,000 years ago, the Sahara was also a desert and even drier than it is today. And that leaves me wondering whether the Sahara Desert will one day be green again. Also, that means there will be some incredible finds in the desert. Whole lost worlds in there, probably. The Californian GDP compared to European countries. Oh well, I didn't know that Germany's GDP is more than 2 times bigger than Russia's GDP. But yeah, Germany has the 3rd largest economy in the world. Also, I don't think poorer is the right word when we're talking about the nominal GDP, because I don't think that Luxembourg is poorer than any United States state. The country is just smaller. Yeah, the male circumcision by country. My goodness, what happened to French Guiana? Also, 58% seems suspiciously high for Australia. Yeah, this map is a bit wrong. I figured it out and Australia should actually be like about 27%. Did you know that just 5 countries make up half of Africa's GDP? And to add, those 5 countries also make up 43% of the population in Africa. So you're saying to me that 40% of Africa's population make up 50% of the GDP. Yeah, that sounds like the richest countries in every single continent, nothing new here. The countries in red are Russia's designated unfriendly countries. I mean, is it a good representation of the geopolitical West? Is this the case with Greenland as the usual? No data. Anyways, Turkey as a NATO state that Russia doesn't think of an enemy is kind of sus. But yeah, Turkey kinda has a zip tie around Russia. They could at any time choose to close off the Bosphorus and give Russia a really bad time. That would almost definitely start a war, but yeah, you get the idea. Canadians, this one's for you. Here is a map of Canada, with green representing where nobody lives. I mean, people live there. This map is giving a bit of an inaccurate feeling. Humans 100% do settle all over that green area. If there is someone watching this video from that green area, please comment down below and let us know where you're watching it from. What you are looking at is a map showing the world obesity rates. Basically, where do fat people live? I mean, the United States and Turkey are really messed up. This was posted to Reddit and some guy commented, "The more ugly people, the easier it is to be beautiful." Please don't cancel me. This map is just amazing. It shows us the population density of Africa. The Nile River is just shining. Wow. And also, it's crazy to see how remote Cape Town actually is. Even though I have been making videos about geography for almost 8 years, I didn't know that so many people lived in that area of Africa. Holy cow. The US President Joe Biden authorizes use by Ukraine of US-made long-range missiles inside Russia. I know war is nothing to joke about, but imagine Ukraine attacking Lithuania to confuse everyone. Damn, that would be so bad. But yeah, Biden, this was not important to you before the elections, but now that you've lost, it became a priority. Nice. Ukraine should have been given all the rights a long time ago. Europeans. Here's a map of Europe showing the percentage of Europeans that visited the doctor in the past 12 months. The Netherlands sure is standing out between the rest of Western Europe. As an Estonian, I am really proud of how my country and the other Baltic countries stand out from the rest of Eastern Europe. This is how the fertility rates in the United States of America decreased nationwide from 2005 to 2022. Americans, what is going on there? I heard that a big reason for this is that pregnancy in young women from 15 to 22 has dropped significantly. Yeah, I guess individualism is growing rapidly and traditional family value cores are being lost. Value cores or core values? Damn, I don't even know English anymore. Map of all Axis forces in Europe in 1945, January the 1st. What's not included in this map is the Svalbard Islands. The Lokan garrison there was the last German unit to officially surrender in World War II. This is the craziest United States presidential election results map in 1972. Jesus, what the hell did McGovern do? Kill a dog? Even though McGovern seemed like a decent guy, his vice president had mental issues which basically made him fail. But apart from that, he was never that popular. Really poor choice to run by the Democrats. Another re-election map of the United States because why not? These are the only counties that voted for the winning party since 2000. Did you know that if Plain County, this one, didn't vote for Dukakis in 1988, then they would have had a bellwether streak going all the way back to 1916. Holy cow. This is a map showing the world median ages. Are the countries in their teens, 20s, 30s or 40s? It seems as like North America, Europe and some Asian countries such as Japan are older than, for example, Africa. Yeah, that's not a surprise. And I'll end this video showing you a video with the share of the population without access to improved water source since 2001 to nowadays. It has been getting better, but some countries are still really problematic. The most popular religion in every country. Now, the most popular religion in the world is Christianity. Around 31% of the world's population are Christians, closely followed by Muslims at 25%. But did you know that Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world right now? Tell me in the comments, which religion are you? Well, what you're seeing is a map showing the potential European Union leaving names of every country. I love how Poland is no land. This is my favorite one. And Español as well. It sounds epic. But as we all know, Brexit was actually a real thing. But I think most of the people in the United Kingdom are not happy with not being in the European Union. A guy from Reddit found this map on a wall from a hotel in China. What the hell is going on here? First of all, putting Afghanistan next to Canada and the United States is a freaking ballsy move. Then, Africa has been colonized by Belarus. And what the hell is Ukraine doing in Australia together with Vietnam? But Russia and China switched is just next level. You know what, I will let you enjoy this map for a few seconds. Here's a lovely map showing where the Roman Empire and the Romans had traveled in 150 years after Christ. I mean, meeting someone from a truly unknown culture must have been so fascinating. Because Han Dynasty existed in China at the same time. As well, I wonder whether they reached the North Sentinel Island or no. This next map shows us the African country's GDP per capita. The richest country by GDP per capita in Africa is the Seychelles. They have a GDP per capita of $21,000 in 2023. But the poorest country in Africa according to the GDP per capita is South Sudan. Anyway, now ignoring all the other countries, can we talk about how based Botswana is? Their GDP per capita is more than South Africa. Hold up, I have a question. So, if this is Latin America, then wouldn't this be considered as Germanic America? No, but seriously, why is this term not used more often? I know that Latin Americans get so angry when America is considered as the United States. Anyways, now that we already mentioned Americans, then this one is for you. Can you name the country? Because 90% can't. If you guessed it, good job. It is the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. And what about this continent? Can you name it? Again, if you did, good job. This is Africa. This one shows us how many males exist for every 100 females. Globally, there are more men, but the reverse is true in some countries. Now, the reason a country might have more women than men is war, alcoholism, and being from Portugal. This is one of those rare times that there is actually data available for Western Sahara and Greenland as well. Whoa. Qatar is just messed up. 266 men for 100 women. But I guess these are just the international workers. Average speed of trains in Europe. Bro, riding a bicycle is faster than taking a train in Albania. That means I'm sure the Albanian trains are still pulled by horses. Also, Spain, you can calm down a bit. Joder, vas muy rápido, coño. Anyways, tell me in the comments, what is the fastest train you have ever taken, or have you ever been on a train? The most popular messaging app in every country of the world. The most popular, as we can see, is WhatsApp with 2 billion worldwide users. The second most popular messaging app in the world is WeChat from China with 1.3 billion users. And then comes in the third place Facebook Messenger with 1 billion worldwide users. Again, tell me in the comments, which one do you use? This map shows us how many guns are in a country for every 100 people. The United States, of course, leads the world in civilian gun ownership with a rate of 120 firearms per 100 people. 120 freaking guns per 100 people. Americans, you are crazy. Now, the country with the least civilian guns is South Korea, with 0.2 guns owned per 100 people. That is 500 times less than freaking Americans, bro. Europe, let's come together. This is Europe according to Eurovision. Oh well, here we go, am I right? First of all, we have freaking Australia here. Meanwhile, a lot of European countries are not included. The Polish flag, for whatever reason, is reversed, so it's just a huge Monaco. And the Netherlands, they need to be removed, am I right? Because they were disqualified. Wrongly. To be honest, Eurovision this year was so bad that I will quit watching it in the future. Did your country eat your Prime Minister? Netherlands, I need some explanations here. And Australia, did your Prime Minister really do this in McDonald's, bro? Anyways, I just love how they put no data on Greenland and Western Sahara. Cherry on the cake for this map. Listen up, the countries in blue had diplomatic relations with Israel in 1975, and now let's compare it to 2022. Iran was one of the first countries to recognize Israel. The updated map in 2025 should be interesting, I think. So tell me, does your country recognize Israel and do you agree with it? Bosnians, I wanna swim. Croatia, no. Yeah, but did you know that there is actually a small entrance to the sea for Bosnians in the south? I think it's about 20 kilometers of sea and beach access. If you are Bosnian, tell me, do you use that beach or just go to Croatia for your vacation? Witch hunt victims in Middle Ages of Europe. Different sources say that between 40,000 to 500,000 witches were burned in the Middle European ages. This is freaking wild. 85% of them were women. Global cancer rates in people under 50 years old. Well, Australia is the skin cancer capital of the world. Stay safe out there, Australians. Plus, you have like 50 of the deadliest animals as well. Crazy lads. The second country where you would most probably get cancer is New Zealand, and the United States is ranked 4th. On the other hand, I don't know why, but the reported figures from Middle Eastern countries are much lower. Maybe because of the clothing, what do you think? Look at this fun map. Is Egypt ruled by Egyptians or no? Well, I'm actually not sure if this really qualifies as a map, but it's interesting nonetheless. My question is, since when did Muhammad Ali have a dynasty? I thought he was into boxing. And finally, to be honest, I'm a little disappointed that there are no aliens on this list. The robbery rate map of Europe. Bruh, everyone from Western Europe has always told us Eastern Europe is so unsafe. Well, take a look at this map. What the hell, guys? Eastern Europe is really safe here. Like 7 out of the 10 cities are French speaking. So yeah, overcrowded large cities attract a lot of robbers. Me that I live in Estonia, I really suggest Eastern Europe for traveling. Countries like Poland and Estonia, of course, for holidays. It is lovely and just doesn't feel sketchy in the same way places like Paris, Brussels and Berlin do. Trust me. And if you decide to travel to Estonia, just hit me up and I will be your local guide, I promise. When and where can you legally drink alcohol in India? The main question from me is, how did they come up with the ages of 23 and 25? What the hell? Did you know that the state of Bihar has a really interesting story about why drinking is illegal in there? It was made illegal and it prevented more than 2 million cases of intimate partner violence. But now, Indians watching this video, tell me, when did you start or have you even started drinking alcohol yet? What you're looking at are the one-party states of the world. China, Cuba, Vietnam, Eritrea, Laos and North Korea. I hope I pronounced them right. And 4 out of 6 of these flags have a star in them. They really do love stars, don't they? What is funny is that Eritrea's only party is calling itself a democracy. Haha. But realistically, Russia should be on this map as well. What do you think? The average temperature of the coldest month in each European capital city. First of all, oh well, Portugal is no more Eastern Europe, if you know what I mean. Then I can't figure out why Riga in Latvia is so much colder than Tallinn in Estonia. Might be because happiness is not allowed in Latvia. And Latvia being colder than all of the other countries besides Russia is wild as well. The most famous artist or band from every United Kingdom and Irish county. There is not much to talk about this map since it's so detailed. I will just let you enjoy it alone and come back in 20 seconds. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Let's now move on with the next one. Countries that have similar GDPs to each region of Germany in 2022. All of this actually told me that Hong Kong is rich. And Hamburg having the same GDP as Ukraine is quite crazy. Anyways, if you think you're good at geography, I wanna see it. Name the German region that has the highest GDP and I will give your comment a heart. Countries with most UNESCO World Heritage Sites. It's good to remember that countries must apply for these sites. They aren't automatically handed out by UNESCO. You see, Finland has as many sites as Egypt and more than Iraq. And if you know anything about history, that tells you all you need to know. Now a correction to this map, as of August 2024, India should actually have 42, am I right? But Turkey seems a bit undercooked here, also Peru, they should have much more. Here's a map showing what it looks like when Brazil is overlaid onto Europe. Brazil is bigger than the 48 United States states. Bro, Brazil is a jumbo-sized Belarus, never would have guessed. Here's a quick interesting fact check for you. Why does France share its longest land border with Brazil? Can you answer me this? All in all, Europe is basically a small Asian peninsula. Even though Europe looked small in the last map, look at this one now. The size of the Roman Empire at its height compared to the United States right now. I think we can all agree on the fact that the Roman Empire was freaking huge. And now imagine this map with the Mongolian Empire. Now that there's war between Russia and Ukraine, flying from Seoul, South Korea to Helsinki, Finland adds some 50 or 70% of extra miles. I really wouldn't like to fly my jumbo jet plane full of passengers into Russian air. there have been many situations where passenger planes have been shot down by the Russian army. If you didn't know, then one of them was called the MH17. Terrible. This was the Columbian Exchange. It refers to the exchange of diseases, ideas, food, crops and populations between the New World and the Old World. It started out after the voyage to the Americas by Christopher Columbus in 1492. Anyways, it's pretty funny because this map looks exactly like it would be out of a school textbook. This is probably well known, but still in my opinion an interesting fact. The countries of the former Soviet Union occupy more than 50% of Europe. I really hope this map won't become a reality again. But oh well, Ukrainians really are embarrassing Russia and Putin at the moment with the Kursk operation. The US countries with a life expectancy above 80 years. Well, what can I say? Good job Dakotas and Minnesota. And the fun fact is that one county in Tennessee has an average income of $130,000 per household. For comparison, San Francisco is at about $140,000 per household. And finally, here are all the maps from all of the continents showing the fastest growing religion in every country of the world. Enjoy! These maps may raise questions and trigger a lot of people, but I will link the sources in the description. These maps are made by me and my friend. How to say March in European languages. This is actually quite surprising as most of the languages have a similar name for March. That usually doesn't happen. But of course, then there are countries like the Czech Republic and Lithuania that live their own life. But did you know that the word March itself comes from the Latin god of war, Mars? Let it snow, let it snow. This is how you say the word snow in these European languages. So that's where the Santa's ho 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 comes from. From Hungary. Look, at this point the Romanians know Zapada sounds more Slavic than in Slavic languages, isn't that right? Of course, in Finland and my home country Estonia, we like to be different. We say lumi. I think it sounds pretty beautiful and different. Try saying it. Lumi. Water, agua, vesi, however you wanna call it, this is how you say water in different European languages. What's fantastic with the French language is that there are 3 letters, different letters of course, but together they are U. In Russia, vodka is just water with a K, voda, vodka. Is that a coincidence? But again, this map shows you how similar actually the Finno-Ugric languages are. So far, yet so similar. History is amazing, isn't it? There is so much terror and war going on in the world, so this is how you say the word peace. For Poland, it might be a bit weird because the word pokoj. Is that how you say it, pokoj? It has 2 meanings, peace and room. By the way, the Dutch word for peace means anger in Danish. Pretty interesting how Hungarian and Basque words for peace sound similar, even though they're so far away. Map of the quotation marks in European languages. To be honest, this just confuses my mind. I dived more deep into this and actually found out that some countries are wrong here, but Estonia, my home country, is correct at least. Europeans, tell me, is this map correct for your language? How do you say 0 F's given in different European languages? The phrase 0 F's given sounds very American, so it should be something else for the United Kingdom, like I don't give a yeah. That would be more common. Anyways, people from Greece, you do have elevated expressions of art. And for Spain, they used the most nice sounding one. Most people would say me la suda, which means it makes it sweat. I'm not trying to be demonetized here, okay? How to say no in European languages. No, 9. A, Нет. Nu. Hayır. Did I pronounce it right? Hayır. Turkish people tell me. Anyways, the colors for this map might be a bit confusing, but they represent the languages that say the word no a bit similar. Do you understand? Also, it seems as though we have lost Belgium. Oh no. We already talked about March, but what about April? This is how you see it in European languages. And as always, Finnish is just vibing. Turkey as well. But Lithuanians, I think balandis is a pretty fun word. Balandis. I figured out that balandis literally translates to pigeon. Is that right, Lithuanians? Isn't it weird that all of North Africa calls April? More maps at jakobmarian.com. Let's move on with the word now. I feel like this word is the most different among all European languages. Just look at it. Almost everyone has their own version. My personal favorites here are Nuna in Iceland and Seychas in Russia. By the way, coloring Switzerland and Belgium in only one color seems scary. And what about Algerian? Is the word now really called dork in your language? Hello in European languages. This map shows us the more formal ones before the less formal ones. That means the greetings at the top are safe to say to everyone, and the ones at the bottom are usually better suited for friends and family. The colors here mean the language families, even though some are really different. But all in all, Europeans, do you agree with this map? Tell me in the comments. I hope you understand that I'm playing with demonetization with this one. Here's how to say what the F in different European languages. And to make it even more fun for you, have fun watching me trying to pronounce this. Oh, que carajo. Que mierda. Ma, che cazzo. Chest qui se porde. Kakovo chorta. Karetsin. What fun then? What fun? As we already looked at the word no, it's time for the word yes. I know for a fact that in Scotland they don't say ja. If anything, it should have a yeah on there. Did you know that in Polish a more informal version of yes is no? It's pronounced a little different and it's confusing as hell, especially in conversations where you switch the languages all the time. But overall, I feel like this map is just laughing at me. What about you? The word 92 may be a bit confusing in some languages. I was like, what the hell, looking at the French language until I noticed the Really, I thought the French had a rather odd way of dealing with numbers, but that Danish way of saying it intimidates me a little. Like, what the hell? Also, it seems as though Iceland has moved its location. But to confuse you even more, in Estonia we say 92. This next one shows us the translation for "it's all Greek to me." That means whether a language is difficult to learn or to understand. I think "I am French" to this conversation has to be the best one. Meanwhile, most of the countries say "it's all Chinese to me." The Germans say "I understand only railway station." Scheiße. We move on with the word how in every European language, and I don't even wanna get started with the way Romania and Moldova say it. What the hell, guys? In the Netherlands and Flanders, I know it's written ho, but it's pronounced who. As well, the French version of saying the word how is pretty surprising to me. I didn't know you said comment. The funny part here is that kak in Russian means how, but in Dutch it means yeah, you know what I mean. And we go on with the number 3 in different European languages. And as always, the Finno-Ugric languages are doing their own thing, as well as Basque and Turkish. But in all other languages, it's pretty similar to English, isn't it? 3. The percentage of homes with air conditioning across the world. You know, this is the first time I've seen Canada as no data. It's sad to see that Europe's numbers are changing, and how the hell does anyone survive in Saudi Arabia with no air conditioning? Also, I expect Brazilian numbers to go up in the future. It is getting unbearably hot there because of the climate change. What you are looking at is two maps comparing the fertility rate of India in 2001 versus 2021. Basically, it's declining. I guess the main reason in India why women are not having that much children nowadays is number one, education. As women become more educated, they tend to delay marriage and childbirth. Also, in urban areas, the cost of living is higher and raising children is more expensive. Indians, do you agree? Countries using the euro as currency. My question is, how are Montenegro and Kosovo using the euro without European Union approval? Are they printing money illegally? Well, no. They just didn't ask the European Union and adopted the currency without permission. Welcome to the Balkans. And I love how Northern Ireland is just being the color of the background. Well, let's start with the controversy. Christianity in the Middle East, what the hell? It is wild that Saudi Arabia has millions of Christians, yet they do not allow churches to be built. However, in France and other European countries, it's the opposite. That 10% figure for Syria is out of date. Due to the civil war, the estimated percentage has fallen to under 3%, largely due to emigration to Europe. And also, if you didn't know, then Lebanon used to be majority Christian. Countries where communist symbols are banned. I will tell you a story while you enjoy this map. As you already may know, I am from Estonia, the former Soviet Union country, and I have been traveling a lot in South America. People there never understood why my government is taking down all the Soviet and communist monuments. If I get the word right, then it is that we have been repressed by the Soviets and Russians for many years. My great-grandparents were taken to Siberia by the Soviets, and I do not want to see any Soviet symbols on the streets, knowing that this movement took my great-grandparents to Siberia. Well, the Arab slave trade. It officially started in 652. Every single time there is an Instagram post about this, people in the comments are like, it wasn't that bad and they were treated really well. And the other comments get deleted, because this is a really controversial topic. But don't worry, you can comment free down below. Oh well, I might have just started a war. Most countries have been colonized by Europe. Yes, this is true. My question is, how did Thailand hold out while being surrounded by colonized nations? Anyways, in compensation, Korea was colonized and exploited by China and Japan. So that leaves me with a question. Has Japan never been colonized by anyone? Okay, I changed the recording room, so maybe my voice sounds different, but anyways, these are the countries where X is blocked. Well, we have to update the map because it's now blocked in Pakistan and Venezuela as well. Oh yes, all the best countries. Isn't it funny how Iran banned Twitter, but Iran's supreme leader still has an account? The same goes for China. Their foreign ministry is very active there. Yeah, rules for thee, but not for me. What you are looking at is a map showing the spread of the Industrial Revolution. This one guy on Reddit said, "Can confirm, here in Scotland we are looking forward to the arrival of the steam engine." And poor Ireland, to this day they're still working on the fields with shovels. To be honest, this is a terrible map, way too oversimplified. Top countries losing people to emigration. In case you're wondering what's happening in Sudan, genocide. A genocide is what's happening in Sudan. As well, you might be wondering, what in God's name is happening in Nepal? I imagine a similar situation to what is happening in Bhutan. Young adults living for study and work opportunities. And Pakistan is losing 1.6 million people, more than China and India. What the hell is going on there? Here's a map for the Americans. Where are you most likely to get a speeding ticket? Jeez, Americans, what is going on in Ohio and Chicago? Anyways, people in the United States would hate France. And nowadays in the Eastern European countries as well. For example, in Lithuania they have these 10-kilometer radars that can get your average speed. Oh hell nah. Oh well, the United States abortions ban with and without exceptions for rape. I hope not to get demonetized, so you have to figure this one out yourself. Germany's economy is the same size as the highlighted countries. Holy freak. You might be asking, what is the population of all the yellow countries? Germany has a population of 84 million and these countries in yellow have a population of 157 million in total. Now, is gay marriage legal or illegal in every single country of the world? This is also a little promotion to my other channel called Zimbax. And these maps are taken from that channel, so go check it out, but enjoy this one. Okay, meanwhile you're watching these maps, comment down below, what do you think? Should gay marriage be legal or illegal? Okay, and now quickly the last map, a lighthouse map of France. There are around 220 lighthouses in France. If you're wondering what these middle ones are doing, then they're in the rivers. Every year around 600 wild lions are killed. Making things worse, over the past decades, these predators have lost 94% of their historic range. 2000 years ago, more than 1 million lions roamed the earth. That means in 2000 years we have lost 98% of lions. That is crazy. This next map shows us the tiger's current and historic range. Right now about 5,500 tigers remain in the wild. But just over a century ago, 100,000 wild tigers roamed across Asia. On the bright side, the tiger population has been growing a bit in the last decades, especially in India. But leaving that out, tigers have lost around 95% of their population in the last 100 years. Also, here's a not so fun fact, tigers kill an average of 50 to 60 people a year. Moving on with the sad stories, here's the African elephant. As this map shows, the African elephant used to live in all of Africa, even in Morocco, can you believe it? 27 million was their population, but today there's only 415,000 African elephants left. That means we have lost 98% of African elephants. I wonder what will this look like in 50 years? Bruh, literally humans are destroying every animal. We move on with elephants, this time the Asian or the Indian elephant, call it how you want. Can you believe that back in the day, they used to live in Iran and most of China? Today, there are fewer than 50,000 Asian elephants left in the wild, but there used to be more than 200,000. Tell me in the comments, have you ever seen an elephant with your own eyes? This next map shows us the black rhino. Black rhinos can currently be found in 12 countries in Africa, totaling an estimated 6,500 individuals. But they used to be found in half of Africa. this one is extremely bad. Can you believe that 100 years ago, around 1 million black rhinos lived on this earth? But good news is that between 2021 and 22, there was a 4% growth in black rhino populations. We move on with rhinos, this time the white rhino. White rhinos can currently be found in 5 countries in Africa, totaling an estimated 18,000 individuals. But they used to be found across most of southern Africa. Can you believe that 100 years ago, around 100,000 white rhinos lived on this earth? That means today there are 5 times less. But good news is that between 2012 and 2017 there was a 2% annual growth in white rhino populations, even though that's not much. Now let's move on. I will give you 5 seconds to guess this animal. If you did, good job. It's the giraffe and it's 4 species. Even though one species is not mentioned here, it's the white giraffe, because there only might be one white giraffe left by now. Overall, there are only about 117,000 giraffes left in the wild now, so every giraffe is important and matters. But in the early 1900s, there used to be 1 million. What the hell, humans, we shouldn't exist. Just compare the panda population in the 18th century and today. This is crazy sad. And now, look at the prehistoric era. Giant pandas can currently be found in 6 mountain ranges in China, totaling an estimated 2,000 individuals in the wild, or a bit less. Can you believe that 100 years ago, there were possibly more than 100,000 giant pandas living in the wild? That means there are 50 times less pandas living in this world today. But the good news is that between 2004 and 2014, there was a 17% increase in the white giant panda population. Tell me, have you ever seen a panda? One of the most, if not the most dangerous bear in the world, the grizzly bear. Imagine if they lived in most of the states and Mexico today. So let's talk about numbers. Around 60,000 wild grizzly bears are located throughout North America, 30,000 of which are found in Alaska. But in the early 19th century, there were about 100,000 grizzly bears. They lived in much of the American West, from the Pacific Ocean to the Great Plains. Did you know that on average 2 people are killed every year by bears in North America? The American bison. They can currently be found in conservation herds across the United States, Canada and Mexico, totaling an estimated 500,000 individuals, with around 30,000 in conservation herds. But can you believe that 150 years ago, around 30 to 60 million American bisons lived on this continent? But the good news is that conservation efforts have helped to increase the numbers a bit, but still we have killed most of them. We already talked about the grizzly bear, but what about the brown bear? They can currently be found in parts of North America, Europe and Asia, totaling an estimated 110,000 individuals worldwide. It is not certain and known how many brown bears used to live 100 years ago, but just by looking at this map, you can see that we have lost a lot of them. Also, the climate change plays an important role here. Tell me in the comments, do brown bears live in your country, and if you comment I will give you a heart, I promise. The woolly mammoths. The woolly mammoths once were widespread across the northern hemisphere, particularly in North America, Europe and Asia. Today, as you all may know, they have gone extinct. But at their peak, they had a population with estimates reaching around 10 million during the last ice age. Exactly, they used to live from Spain to Canada. But sadly, yeah, by about 4,000 years ago, woolly mammoths went extinct. The dodo bird. The dodo bird, once native to the island of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean, had an estimated population in the tens of thousands before humans arrived. But they used to inhabit the lush forests of Mauritius, an environment that is now completely inhabitable for them because of the climate change. By the late 1600s, the dodo bird was driven to extinction due to hunting and habitat destruction. This was only a few decades after first humans had encountered them. So yeah, sadly, the dodo bird went extinct around 1681. Out of all states, I am extremely surprised that the open carry is prohibited in Florida. Anyways, America is crazy. How the hell are you allowed to openly carry a gun? What the hell? I agree, I went to the military and guns can be fun. I understand that it's for your safety, but that's also the reason why you have so much shootings at certain places, if you know what I mean. Here is a more updated map of countries banned from the Olympics. The third place goes to Germany, the second place goes to Russia, and the first place goes to South Africa. As we can assume, the Olympics doesn't like it when you lose world wars. Anyways, one honorable mention is Brunei in 2008 for failing to submit athletes' names on time. Yes, Brunei's government was too lazy to even do that. What the hell? Map of drug cartels in Mexico in 2024. Mexico is such a beautiful country. It sucks that these guys are currently running the show there right now. With government corruption, low standards of living and drug-hungry United States, it's a recipe for disaster, am I right? The two strongest cartels at the moment are the Jalisco New Generation Cartel and Sinaloa Cartel. All in all, around 200,000 people in Mexico work for the cartels. Casualties in Europe during World War I. To be correct, this is not casualties, it is deaths. Here's a big difference. France had 5% of their population dead, with around 15% that have been impacted some way or another by the war physically. Which explains why they surrendered in World War II. They had no intention of reliving World War I, even if that meant surrender. And to be honest, poor Serbians, 16% is horrible. Another European map. The percentage of the European population who believe in life after death. What seems funny to me is that there is no data from the Vatican. But the real question is, how many of them believe in life after love? If you know what I mean. The percentage of population absolutely certain that God exists. The state of Georgia and the country of Georgia are really carrying this map, huh? Did you know that in 2008, when Russia invaded Georgia, somebody in the United States living in the state of Georgia posted in Yahoo whether they should be worried? Ah, Americans, I gotta love you. Again, no data from Vatican. I think they know something. This is the last religion map, I promise. These are the countries in our world where leaving your religion is punished. Basically, your travel advisory map, countries to stay away from, please. Bro, this is literally the Middle Ages, though I'm quite surprised that it's not a crime in Pakistan, and Tunisia as well. Good job. I wonder, what did European leaders think 10 years ago when they started importing the third world? Look at Europe now, it has become the third world in many countries. Map of Africa on the year 1880, before the European scramble for Africa. I suddenly want to play some Hearts of Iron 4. But did you know that 90% of this map is either guesswork or outright made up? They didn't have fixed borders like we do today, so you really can't represent them on a map like this. Anyways, it's surprising that Egypt was so big and Morocco was that small. The biggest immigrant group in each United States state 100 years apart. 100 years ago, in the year 1922, they were mostly from Europe. Now, they are mostly from Mexico and other Latin American countries, and it continues to grow that way. Okay, first of all, Russia, what the hell? But I think it's a bit misleading since a huge number of those immigrants are from the areas that were part of Russia. Today they should be from Poland, Ukraine and Belarus. And what the hell did Norwegians do? They were tired of their cold icy country and they moved to Alaska and North Dakota. Here is a map showing how much does a beer cost in Europe. The average price for half a liter beer in restaurants around Europe. Bro, Norway is just wild. The beer is 10 times more expensive than in Ukraine. Central Europe and Scandinavia have the most expensive beer and Baltic countries may surprise many as well. But the real surprise here for me is Portugal. Really, I didn't know it was that cheap there. As well as most of Eastern Europe, Russia and the Balkan countries plus Turkey. This is a friendly reminder of how ridiculously big the Pacific Ocean is. I will now show you a video from a certain spot in this map in the Pacific Ocean. If you can guess this place, you will get a heart from me, I promise. If you did guess it, good job. This is Point Nemo, the farthest place on Earth from any land. It's also known as the oceanic pole of inaccessibility. Oh yes, a perfect place for all of my thalassophobia friends. Which countries in the world have been female-led? Yes, these are all the countries that have had a female leading the country, counting from the year 1946. The winners are Switzerland and Finland. But now, looking at the real powers of the world, such as China and the United States, they have never had one. Well, maybe the US will have one now. What do you think? Who will win? Trump or Kamala Harris? The safest and least safe countries for LGBTQ+ travelers according to the Gay Travel Index in 2024. As we can see, Northern and Western Europe, the Americas and Australia are the safest. Meanwhile, India and South Africa surprise me as well. The least safe countries for gay travelers are the Middle Eastern countries, most of Africa and well, most of Asia. This one shows us the Armenians in the borders of modern Turkey, 2000 years ago and today. You know, I don't even want to comment about this topic because the comments won't be pretty nice. Yeah. The beautiful pink-colored birds. Well, I guess they can be found on every continent, but mostly in Africa. But to be honest, I didn't know that there were so many flamingos living in Europe as well. And what about Florida? They really have every animal there, don't they? And now I guess these blue triangles mean that they have been spotted there, in China for example. Let's move on with this predator, the cheetah. Around 100,000 cheetahs lived on Earth 100 years ago, but today the number has decreased more than 15 times. Today there's only around 5,000 cheetahs alive. Humans are literally the worst predator on this planet. However, tell me, have you ever been able to see a cheetah? Ostriches, the large flightless birds. They are the heaviest birds on the planet, and as you can see, they can be found in Africa. It is estimated that no more than 150,000 ostriches remain in the wild. Although many species have already gone extinct, such as the Arabian ostrich. Call this little guy how you want, the snow fox or the Arctic fox. As you can see, they live in most of the northern countries and territories, such as Alaska, Canada, Greenland, Russia, Norway, Scandinavia and even Iceland. But the Arctic is home to more than 630,000 Arctic foxes and they are not currently at risk from extinction, but populations are declining. That's sad. Now, can you guess this animal? They live in Greenland, Canada, Alaska, Russia, and the Svalbard archipelago of Norway. If you did, then great job. It is the polar bear, the most dangerous bear. It is estimated that there are currently around 25,000 polar bears worldwide, but without actions on climate change, we could lose them by the end of this century. Let's move on with the moose. As you know, I'm from Estonia and I can confirm they are really common here. And they are the size of a horse. Believe it or not, some species are even bigger. However, they are usually not aggressive towards humans, but if necessary, they can run up to 56 kilometers per hour. And to make it more interesting for you, here is the moose population density by country. What can I tell? Sweden is wildin', as well as most of Scandinavia and the Baltic countries. Bats are fascinating animals, the only true flying mammal. There are over 1,400 species of bats in the world. That's almost 20% of all mammal species. They live basically everywhere on Earth, except the most extreme deserts and polar regions. But Central and South America are home to almost 1/3 of the world's bat species. Now, you tell me, have you ever seen a bat in your house? Because I have. It was scary. We move on with animals in South America. Here's where the alpacas live. There are thought to be around 3 million alpacas worldwide, with 94% living in South America. They are often confused with the llamas, however, alpacas are often smaller than llamas. The kangaroos. There are 4 species of them, indigenous to Australia and New Guinea. The Australian government estimates that 40 million kangaroos live in Australia as of 2024. However, that's 13 million kangaroos less than 10 years ago in 2013. Again, another animal that we're losing. What you're looking at now is a map showing the most popular and recognizable kangaroo, the red kangaroo. Australians, tell us in the comments, have you ever seen one and are they dangerous or not towards humans? Time for another flightless bird, the penguin. Isn't it crazy that they can be found even in Peru and the Galapagos Islands? I honestly didn't know that. And the same thing with South Africa. I'm really surprised. And Australia and New Zealand, no, this has to be a joke. In the world there might be more, but 44 million, that's the estimated penguin population in Antarctica. Where do hippopotamuses live? Did I say it right? Hippos. As you can see in Africa, there are remaining 130,000 hippos left in the world, but there is actually one place where hippos are also living. That's Colombia, and because of Pablo Escobar, they are spreading fast. However, did you know that hippos kill around 500 humans a year? They are one of the deadliest animals on this planet. Answer me this, what do we get if we put a horn to a hippo? Yes, you're right, a rhino. Now, you listen carefully. At the beginning of the 20th century, 500,000 rhinos roamed Africa and Asia. That was 500,000 rhinos. But today, in total, there are only about 27,000 rhinos left in the world. We humans truly are horrible. Let's move on with the closest animal to human, the chimpanzee. Chimps are native to West and Central Africa, living in the savanna and forests there. It is estimated that there are between 170,000 and 300,000 chimpanzees living in the wild. However, as an endangered species, this number is continually declining, because there were 2 million chimpanzees 100 years ago. Well, time for the slowest animal on the planet, the sloth. They also happen to be the cutest animals. Sloths live in the tropical forests of Central and South America. While population estimates can vary, it is generally believed that there are several 100,000 sloths in the world. Believe it or not, but 10,000 years ago, this cute animal was around 3 meters tall. Not so cute after all. Mosquito habitat in 2019. The colors show us the number of months per year when disease transmission is possible. Now in 2050, mosquitoes are slowly taking over the world. And finally in 2080, mosquitoes are taking over the world. This time for real. This is what you call globalization. Pears that are grown in Argentina are packed in Thailand and later on sold in the United States. I know it may be a cheaper version, but these pears literally traveled over 20,000 kilometers. Yeah. Here's a map of Europe showing where the most international visitors were from in each European country in 2023. As you can see, it's all mostly Germans, but as an Estonian I can tell you that the so-called Finnish tourists are mostly made up of people looking for cheap beer. I'm not even joking. These are the first 5 countries that recognized the United States, and it's basically all the countries that paid for the American Revolution, plus Morocco for some reason, who knows why. What you can see is the longest possible train route in the world. If you're crazy enough to try this, you would have to start the journey from Lisbon, Portugal, then cross various European countries and the Russian landscape until you reach Southeast Asia. The journey ends in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, and you would have been traveled 17,500 kilometers with train. Did you know that the Mexico's northernmost city, Tijuana, is closer to Alaska than the country's southernmost state capital, Tuxtla Gutiérrez? Well, the conclusion is that el país de México es muy grande, güey. Another map of Europe, because I know you love them. This time it's about the largest generation in every European country. And the conclusion for this one is that Europe has the oldest population in the world. Except for some countries, of course, like Sweden. And you know very well why. Well, how far away are you from Chile? Using Chile as a scale. Are you 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 Chiles away from Chile? And if you're actually from Chile, tell me about it in the comments and I'm gonna give your comment a heart. From 2016 to 2022, has the amount of McDonald's grown or decreased in these European countries? Anyone from Germany, Denmark or Sweden wanna explain to me why has it decreased in your country? Don't you like it? Look, the year is 2024 and still in many countries of the world, a woman doesn't have the same rights to remarry as a man. Well, Middle East will always be Middle East, but Peru, Uruguay, Japan and Italy. What the hell, guys? A female in Italy, for example, has to wait 300 days before she marries again, but this doesn't apply to men. This is an interchange in Houston, Texas, the United States, and this is an entire city center in Italy. And you know what? They are actually the same size. Believe it or not. Yes, this interchange in Houston is the same size as an entire city center in Italy with 30,000 people. An interesting map. The countries in blue is where Americans can travel without a visa. Does someone want to explain to me why Americans can travel to Pakistan but cannot travel to Bangladesh? Or on the other side, why they can travel to Paraguay but cannot travel to Bolivia? What the hell? These are the 4 countries the Cold War divided: Germany, Vietnam, Romania and Korea. But apart from that, which coat of arms of these countries do you think looks the most badass? In my opinion, it's South Vietnam. Just look at this beauty. In European countries, this is the currency that was used before the euro. How interesting that Cyprus also had the pound. Obviously not the British pound, but Cypriot pound is how it was called from 1963 to 2008. What you're looking at is the largest industry in each US state by GDP. So, this is for Americans living in the United States. Can you guess the largest company in your state? Here is a fun map made by Wielkopolska Maps in Reddit, showing whether your country is written in singular or plural in Polish. And well, the bananas are just for funny demonstration. Listen up. This map shows us all the countries where journalists have been killed or disappeared between 2000 and 2023 around the world. Syria, Mexico, Pakistan and Yemen are on the top of this list, so if you're a journalist, take care when you go there. This was Israel on June the 5th in 1967, and this was Israel on June the 11th on 1967, after the 6-day war. And to be honest, this is crazy transformation for just 6 days of war, and overall 800 people died. Where do flamingos live? The beautiful pink-colored birds. Well, I guess they can be found on every continent, but mostly in Africa. But to be honest, I didn't know that there were so many flamingos living in Europe as well. And what about Florida? They really have every animal there, don't they? And now I guess these blue triangles mean that they have been spotted there, in China for example. Let's move on with this predator, the cheetah. Around 100,000 cheetahs lived on Earth 100 years ago, but today the number has decreased more than 15 times. Today there's only around 5,000 cheetahs alive. Humans are literally the worst predator on this planet. However, tell me, have you ever been able to see a cheetah? Ostriches, the large flightless birds. They are the heaviest birds on the planet, and as you can see, they can be found in Africa. It is estimated that no more than 150,000 ostriches remain in the wild, although many species have already gone extinct, such as the Arabian ostrich. Call this little guy how you want, the snow fox or the Arctic fox. As you can see, they live in most of the northern countries and territories, such as Alaska, Canada, Greenland, Russia, Norway, Scandinavia and even Iceland. But the Arctic is home to more than 630,000 Arctic foxes, and they are not currently at risk from extinction, but populations are declining. That's sad. Now, can you guess this animal? They live in Greenland, Canada, Alaska, Russia and the Svalbard archipelago of Norway. If you did, then great job. It is the polar bear, the most dangerous bear. It is estimated that there are currently around 25,000 polar bears worldwide, but without actions on climate change, we could lose them by the end of this century. Let's move on with the moose. As you know, I'm from Estonia and I can confirm they are really common here. And they are the size of a horse, believe it or not, some species are even bigger. However, they are usually not aggressive towards humans, but if necessary, they can run up to 56 kilometers per hour. And to make it more interesting for you, here is the moose population density by country. What can I tell? Sweden is wildin', as well as most of Scandinavia and the Baltic countries. Bats are fascinating animals, the only true flying mammal. There are over 1,400 species of bats in the world. That's almost 20% of all mammal species. They live basically everywhere on Earth, except the most extreme deserts and polar regions. But Central and South America are home to almost 1/3 of the world's bat species. Now, you tell me, have you ever seen a bat in your house? Because I have. It was scary. We move on with animals in South America. Here's where the alpacas live. There are thought to be around 3 million alpacas worldwide, with 94% living in South America. They are often confused with the llamas, however, alpacas are often smaller than llamas. The kangaroos. There are 4 species of them, indigenous to Australia and New Guinea. The Australian government estimates that 40 million kangaroos live in Australia as of 2024. However, that's 13 million kangaroos less than 10 years ago in 2013. Again, another animal that we're losing. What you're looking at now is a map showing the most popular and recognizable kangaroo, the red kangaroo. Australians, tell us in the comments, have you ever seen one and are they dangerous or not towards humans? Time for another flightless bird, the penguin. Isn't it crazy that they can be found even in Peru and the Galapagos Islands? I honestly didn't know that. And the same thing with South Africa. I'm really surprised. And Australia and New Zealand, no, this has to be a joke. In the world there might be more, but 44 million, that's the estimated penguin population in Antarctica. Where do hippopotamuses live? Did I say it right? Hippos. As you can see in Africa, there are remaining 130,000 hippos left in the world, but there is actually one place where hippos are also living. That's Colombia, and because of Pablo Escobar, they are spreading fast. However, did you know that hippos kill around 500 humans a year? They are one of the deadliest animals on this planet. Answer me this, what do we get if we put a horn to a hippo? Yes, you're right, a rhino. Now, you listen carefully. At the beginning of the 20th century, 500,000 rhinos roamed Africa and Asia. That was 500,000 rhinos. But today, in total, there are only about 27,000 rhinos left in the world. We humans truly are horrible. Let's move on with the closest animal to human, the chimpanzee. Chimps are native to West and Central Africa, living in the savanna and forests there. It is estimated that there are between 170,000 and 300,000 chimpanzees living in the wild. However, as an endangered species, this number is continually declining, because there were 2 million chimpanzees 100 years ago. Well, time for the slowest animal on the planet, the sloth. They also happen to be the cutest animals. Sloths live in the tropical forests of Central and South America. While population estimates can vary, it is generally believed that there are several 100,000 sloths in the world. Believe it or not, but 10,000 years ago, this cute animal was around 3 meters tall. Not so cute after all. Mosquito habitat in 2019. The colors show us the number of months per year when disease transmission is possible. Now in 2050, mosquitoes are slowly taking over the world. And finally in 2080, mosquitoes are taking over the world. This time for real. Here is the next map, showing us where the sheep live, and I think it's obvious. The bigger the country is, the more sheep they have. China, Australia, New Zealand and North Africa are leading this map, but I don't know about North America. Here's a map showing us where elephants live, both African and Asian species. Did you know that 100 years ago there were more than 12 million elephants in the wild? Today it's estimated that there are less than 400,000 elephants remaining. So let's try this again. Here's a map showing us where African elephants live. Yeah. What you can see is the list of grey wolf populations by country. The areas in green show us where grey wolves live right now, and the areas in red is where they used to live. So this again proves that the human habitat destruction is real. However, in some countries it's the other way around. Take a look at Italy, for example. There have never been so many grey wolves in the country than right now. Let's move on. Here's a map showing us where giant pandas live in dark orange versus where giant pandas used to live in bright orange. I don't know the exact number, but the peak of pandas was around 50,000 years ago. However, the number of wild giant pandas in China has increased from around 1,000 in the 80s to nearly 2,000 right now. Tell me in the comments, have you ever seen a panda? While we're already talking about bear species, let's take a look at the brown bear. It mostly lives in the forests and mountains of northern North America, Europe and Asia. It is also the most widely distributed bear in the world. However, the country with the most brown bears is Russia with 130,000 of them. Wow, that's a lot. I will not tell you the animal right now, but tell me in the comments, can you guess the animal just by looking at this map? Well, if you did, great job, it's zebra. So, here's an even more detailed map of the 3 species of zebras living in Africa. Time for the cutest little animal in the world, the hedgehog. You know, I've had many of these little guys run around my garden, but overall there are estimated to be less than 1 million remaining in the wild. To be honest, I really didn't know even India had hedgehogs. But they do, and they are called the Indian hedgehogs. Wow, what a surprise, right? The distribution of orangutans. This map was made a few years ago, but believe it or not, it's already really outdated. Overall, in 2024, there are only around 60,000 orangutans left in the world. As you can see, they are only found in these 2 islands, Sumatra and Borneo. If you're from one of these islands, let me know it in the comments and tell me, have you seen an orangutan yourself? This map of Australia shows us where koalas live. Koala, is that how you say it? Koala. Well, whatever. The Australian fire season was one of the most deadly seasons ever. Nearly 3 billion animals lost their lives, including koalas. So yeah, they are also declining in population. Right now, as of 2024, there are a bit less than 100,000 koalas left in the world. Here's a fun map showing where rabbits live in the world, or you could also call them bunnies. Some sources say there are around 700 million of them, but ChatGPT told me 1.5 billion. I guess we'll never know the exact number, huh? But there sure is a lot of them. Distribution of cows worldwide. Similarly to rabbits, there's an estimated 1 billion cows on our planet. Did you know that in Uruguay there are over 12 million cows? That means it can be said that Uruguay is the country with the highest number of cows per humans. That means 3.8 cows per 1 human. Che, vamos arriba los gurises de Uruguay, vamos. This next map shows us where the red fox lives. Isn't it interesting how the distribution of the red fox in Egypt is only next to the Nile River? The exact number of red foxes in the world is not known, but they are very widespread and the population is considered to be stable. That means not declining, but you never know. And again, I will give you 5 seconds to guess this animal, and if you did, let me know it in the comments. If you guessed it, perfect! This map shows us the distribution of the giraffe. But now let's look at a more realistic map. As of February 2024, there are only 117,000 giraffes left in the world. So every giraffe is important and matters. Also, did you know that the West African giraffe is rarer than the mountain gorilla? While we already mentioned gorillas, here's their habitat map, and as you can see, their situation isn't any better. Well, the overall picture isn't that bad, as there are over 300,000 gorillas in the world, both western and eastern species. But the problem is that there are only around 1,000 mountain gorillas left in the wild. That means endangered. Similarly to the brown bear, the beaver lives in North America, Europe and Asia. Before the fur trade between the 16th and 19th century, there were an estimated 200 million North American beavers. Today, North America only has 15 million. Europe and Asia have much less, around a few million. What the hell? To make you even more sad, here's the distribution map of the lion, both present day and historic. 100 years ago, the lion population was approximately 200,000. Now, as of 2024, it's estimated to be less than 23,000. What the heck? At this current rate of habitat loss and poaching, African lions could be completely extinct as of 2050. You know what, these historic range versus current range distribution maps are pretty interesting, aren't they? This one is about the tiger. So, isn't it surprising how historically tigers used to live in Kazakhstan, the Korean peninsula and Russia also? That was all 100 years ago, when the world had around 200,000 tigers. Today it has decreased by 95%, are you kidding me? Leaving us with approximately only 4,500 tigers. This is just sad. This one shows us where the huntsman spider lives, or at least where it has been spotted. Yeah, basically, this map shows you the places I'm never going to go to. The huntsman spiders don't spin webs, instead they jump. But yes, they are really big, commonly up to the size of your palm, sometimes even larger. Jesus. We move on with daddy long legs, and did you know that they aren't actually spiders and they don't have any venom? They are arachnids, but so are ticks and scorpions. As you can see, they live all around the world, and during summertime in Estonia, when I go to my campsite, it's always full of them. The entire ceiling. And you know why? Because they keep together to stay warm. Oh god, the wolf spiders. And they have figured out how to live just about anywhere in the world, as you can see. So no one is safe. There are around 2,300 species of wolf spider in the world, and they are not venomous, but they can bite and puncture human skin. Again, in my house, these bastards can be found, and they are freaking fast. That's why wolf spiders are called the sprinters of the spider world. Let me introduce to you the Australian funnel web spider. They are extremely venomous, but they live in Australia, so thank God. I'm sorry, Australians. Not all species are known to be dangerous, but some are known for their highly toxic and fast-acting venom. Although no deaths have been recorded since 1981, it remains an icon of fear and fascination for the Sydney-siders. People from Sydney, have you ever seen one? The time has come, the Black Widow. Now let's break the myth. They are not the world's deadliest spider. You just have to wait, we will soon get to the most venomous spider. But in the United States each year, about 2,500 people report being bitten by a black widow, and only 4 to 8 die. But still, I'm quite surprised how spread the black widow is worldwide. What you are looking at is where the Mexican red-knee tarantula lives. Last year I went to Guerrero in Mexico, and little did I know that I had these little friends close to me. I am calling them friends because the Mexican red-knee tarantulas are the most popular choice as pets among tarantula keepers. They can live up to 30 years, and don't be worried, the Mexican red-knee tarantulas are not venomous for humans and less likely to bite you. Call this one how you want. the Brazilian wandering spider or the banana spider. They are the most venomous spiders in the world. The wandering spiders are called the wandering spiders because they wander the jungle floor at night rather than maintaining a web. And they might visit your house when you buy bananas, so be careful. About 4,000 bites reportedly happen each year in Brazil, but only 15 deaths have been attributed since 1903. This next one can be called the sun spider or the camel spider. Sun spiders are found throughout the world in mostly tropical and subtropical areas. They mostly look like scorpions, but sun spiders are not venomous. They are also famous for chasing people, something that if you're not expecting, it can understandably be quite alarming. Oh god, the Sicarius spider. This is my nightmare. Imagine taking sun at a beach and this bastard shows up under your towel. And to make it worse, it has a highly toxic venom. They live in dry forests and deserts throughout southern Africa, South America and Central America. Well, the Goliath bird-eater tarantula, the biggest spider in the world. Can you believe it? The leg span of this bastard is 30 centimeters. Bro, do you understand that this is half of a newborn human baby? They live in the rainforest regions of northern South America, including Venezuela, northern Brazil, Guyana, French Guiana and Suriname. Now, let's move on with the hobo spider. As you can see, they live in the northern western states of the United States. The hobo spider is also a funnel web spider, but not to be confused with the Australian funnel web spider that we mentioned before. Overall, hobo spider venom is not toxic to humans, but some people may experience a skin reaction. Hobo actually means a homeless person, and we call them hobo spiders since they expand their distribution by hitching rides with humans along major highways in the Pacific Northwest. Well, the redback spider. Now, don't confuse this bad boy to our famous black widow. They are really similar, but in reality, while both spiders can cause serious health effects, the black widow is much more venomous. But still, the redback spider is also dangerous, but it's mostly found in Australia, again. Here's a fun comparison between the Australian funnel web spider and the redback spider. We move on with another tarantula, this time the Chilean rose tarantula, or also known as the rose hair tarantula. This tarantula is native to Chile, Argentina and Bolivia in the deserts. They are also famous among pet keepers, and people love the Chilean rose tarantula for its slow and calm movements. Females can live up to 20 years in human care, but the males pass away a few months after mating. Plesi. It's the smallest species of spider in the world, and they can be found living in Samoa. While the Goliath bird-eater has a 30 cm leg span, the Plesi spiders have a leg span of only 0.3 mm. Do you understand? It is so small that 10 of them could fit on the end of a pencil. Anyone watching this video, tell me, have you ever seen a Plesi in real life? And if so, how the hell? Listen up. Portia is a breed of a jumping spider that feeds on other spiders. Oh yes, you just heard that right. A freaking jumping spider that eats other spiders. Mostly, they live in Africa and Asia and northern Australia as well, so thank God Europeans and Americans. They are also known as the most intelligent spider and remarkable for their intelligent hunting behavior. That also suggests that they are capable of learning and problem solving, traits normally attributed to much larger animals. This last map shows us where all spider breeds live in the world. In conclusion, no one is safe. Well, if you live in the middle of Greenland, then maybe yes, but there are more than 45,000 known species of spiders in the world, and if I'm not lying, then that should be around 21 quadrillion spiders. What the hell? Where does the beluga whale live? Well, as this map shows, they live in the Arctic and subarctic waters, including areas around Canada, Alaska, Greenland and Russia. It is estimated that today their population is 150,000 individuals. But 100 years ago it was around 300,000. This is due to their hunting and the habitat destruction. Let's move on with a rather scary fish. This is the piranha. Thank God they only live in South America, not on any other continent. Mostly in the Amazon River basin and other rivers and lakes in South America, including the Orinoco River. I know that piranhas are usually made that terrible by the Hollywood movies, but in reality they are not that dangerous. Yes, sometimes they do attack humans, but killing humans is very rare. However, in 2022, 4 people were killed in 3 separate attacks by piranhas in Paraguay. Before I reveal this next sea animal, let me see if you can guess it. Comment down below, and if you get it right, I'm gonna give you a heart. Yes, of course, it is the jellyfish. There is not much explanation needed, they are found in every single ocean of the world. A fun fact about them is that jellyfish are approximately 95% water, and they lack a centralized brain, heart and bones. Well, let's move on with the giant squid. They live in deep ocean waters, usually at depths ranging from 300 to 1000 meters. They are found across all of the world's oceans, but most oftenly in colder regions like the North Atlantic, around Japan and near New Zealand. The exact population is unknown, as these creatures are rarely seen. They are extremely hard to study, but not to be believed as endangered. Now, one of our favorite sea animals, the dolphin. They live in both deep ocean waters and shallow coastal waters. Some species even live in the Amazon River. They are highly intelligent animals, and today there are about 600,000 common dolphins and around 200,000 bottlenose dolphins. But yeah, the population 100 years ago, especially before widespread hunting, was a lot more. This is where the octopus lives. They are found in oceans all across the world, from shallow coastal waters to the deep sea, at depths over 2000 meters. Similarly to dolphins, they are incredibly intelligent. And to make you happy, they are not currently endangered, they are pretty stable. Tell me, have you ever seen an octopus with your own eyes? The giant crabs, or often described as the Japanese spider crabs, are the largest species of crab. They are mostly found in the Pacific Ocean around Japan, but in some other parts of the world as well. This crab has the longest leg span of any arthropod, reaching up to 3.7 meters from claw to claw. The loggerhead sea turtle. They are found in most oceans around the world, particularly in temperate and tropical regions. They prefer coastal habitats and oceanic waters such as the Atlantic, Pacific and Indian Oceans. Today, it is estimated that there are around 100,000 nesting females, but the exact numbers are hard to determine. But of course, 100 years ago, there were much more, before of the extensive hunting and habitat destruction. Oh god, the scary fish, the anglerfish. Me as an Estonian, I am surprised because I thought they would live somewhere around Japan, but they live really close to me in the Atlantic and Antarctic oceans. However, you will probably not see them because they live 200 to 2000 meters below sea level. Where do the great white sharks live? As this map shows, yeah, in most of our oceans, especially in the western coast of the United States, then close to Japan and Australia and maybe close to Spain. They are involved in an average of 5 to 10 unprovoked attacks on humans each year worldwide. However, fatal attacks are rare, averaging to less than one person per year. However, the human kills hundreds and thousands of sharks every year. Where do sea lions live? Well, mostly along the coasts of North and South America, New Zealand, Australia and Asia. Today, it is estimated that there are in total around 400,000 sea lions. When I was traveling in Uruguay 3 years ago, I actually got to see them at the beach, and that was incredible. They are highly intelligent. We started this video off with the beluga whale, but what about the blue whale? They are found in all of the world's oceans except the Arctic. And they prefer deep ocean waters. As you already may know, they are the largest animals ever known to have lived on Earth. An adult blue whale can grow to a massive 30 meters long and weigh more than 180,000 kilos. That's about the same as 40 elephants, 30 Tyrannosaurus rexes and 3,000 average-sized men. Let's move on with this cute and a little bit dangerous animal, the manta ray. As you can see, they live in the tropical and subtropical areas, often near coral reefs. This surprised me, but believe it or not, their fins can reach to a span up to 7 meters, making them among the largest of all rays. Where do the seahorses live? As we can see, they don't usually live in the deep oceans but rather close to our land. Again, mostly in tropical and subtropical areas. Again, what is surprising me is that they live in the Black Sea but not the Caspian Sea. Like, where's the logic in that? We end this video with my favorite sea animal, the Magna pinna squid. I know, we talked about giant squids before, but this one is a lot bigger. They are extremely rare and only a few have been spotted near the Gulf of Mexico. Here's some crazy footage of that. These squids live really deep down in the oceans, so they are extremely rare to spot. Every year around 600 wild lions are killed. Making things worse, over the past decades, these predators have lost 94% of their historic range. 2,000 years ago, more than 1 million lions roamed the earth. That means in 2,000 years, we have lost 98% of lions. That is crazy. This next map shows us the tiger's current and historic range. Right now, about 5,500 tigers remain in the wild. But just over a century ago, 100,000 wild tigers roamed across Asia. On the bright side, the tiger population has been growing a bit in the last decades, especially in India. But leaving that out, tigers have lost around 95% of their population in the last 100 years. Also, here's a not so fun fact. Tigers kill an average of 50 to 60 people a year. Moving on with the sad stories, here's the African elephant. As this map shows, the African elephant used to live in all of Africa, even in Morocco, can you believe it? 27 million was their population, but today there's only 415,000 African elephants left. That means we have lost 98% of African elephants. I wonder what will this look like in 50 years? Bruh, literally, humans are destroying every animal. We move on with elephants, this time the Asian or the Indian elephant, call it how you want. Can you believe that back in the day, they used to live in Iran and most of China? Today, there are fewer than 50,000 Asian elephants left in the wild, but there used to be more than 200,000. Tell me in the comments, have you ever seen an elephant with your own eyes? This next map shows us the black rhino. Black rhinos can currently be found in 12 countries in Africa, totaling an estimated 6,500 individuals. but they used to be found in half of Africa. This one is extremely bad. Can you believe that 100 years ago, around 1 million black rhinos lived on this earth? But good news is that between 2021 and 22, there was a 4% growth in black rhino populations. We move on with rhinos, this time the white rhino. White rhinos can currently be found in 5 countries in Africa, totaling an estimated 18,000 individuals. But they used to be found across most of southern Africa. Can you believe that 100 years ago, around 100,000 white rhinos lived on this earth? That means today there are 5 times less. But good news is that between 2012 and 2017 there was a 2% annual growth in white rhino populations, even though that's not much. Now let's move on. I will give you 5 seconds to guess this animal. If you did, good job. It's the giraffe and it's 4 species. Even though one species is not mentioned here, it's the white giraffe, because there only might be one white giraffe left by now. Overall, there are only about 117,000 giraffes left in the wild now, so every giraffe is important and matters. But in the early 1900s, there used to be 1 million. What the hell, humans, we shouldn't exist. Just compare the panda population in the 18th century and today. This is crazy sad. And now, look at the prehistoric area. Giant pandas can currently be found in 6 mountain ranges in China, totaling an estimated 2,000 individuals in the wild, or a bit less. Can you believe that 100 years ago, there were possibly more than 100,000 giant pandas living in the wild? That means there are 50 times less pandas living in this world today. But the good news is that between 2004 and 2014, there was a 17% increase in the wild giant panda population. Tell me, have you ever seen a panda? One of the most, if not the most dangerous bear in the world, the grizzly bear. Imagine if they lived in most of the states and Mexico today. So let's talk about numbers. Around 60,000 wild grizzly bears are located throughout North America, 30,000 of which are found in Alaska. But in the early 19th century, there were about 100,000 grizzly bears. They lived in much of the American West, from the Pacific Ocean to the Great Plains. Did you know that on average 2 people are killed every year by bears in North America? The American bison. They can currently be found in conservation herds across the United States, Canada and Mexico, totaling an estimated 500,000 individuals, with around 30,000 in conservation herds. But can you believe that 150 years ago, around 30 to 60 million American bisons lived on this continent? But the good news is that conservation efforts have helped to increase the numbers a bit, but still we have killed most of them. We already talked about the grizzly bear, but what about the brown bear? They can currently be found in parts of North America, Europe and Asia, totaling an estimated 110,000 individuals worldwide. It is not certain and known how many brown bears used to live 100 years ago, but just by looking at this map, you can see that we have lost a lot of them. Also, the climate change plays an important role here. Tell me in the comments, do brown bears live in your country? And if you comment, I will give you a heart, I promise. The woolly mammoths. The woolly mammoths once were widespread across the northern hemisphere, particularly in North America, Europe and Asia. Today, as you all may know, they have gone extinct. But at their peak, they had a population with estimates reaching around 10 million during the last ice age. Exactly, they used to live from Spain to Canada. But sadly, yeah, by about 4,000 years ago, woolly mammoths went extinct. The dodo bird. The dodo bird, once native to the island of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean, had an estimated population in the tens of thousands before humans arrived. But they used to inhabit the lush forests of Mauritius, an environment that is now completely inhabitable for them because of the climate change. By the late 1600s, the dodo bird was driven to extinction due to hunting and habitat destruction. This was only a few decades after first humans had encountered them. So yeah, sadly, the dodo bird went extinct around 1681. The most popular local beer brands of Europe. I can see a lot of beers on this map that I love, but also I agree with Estonia. Saku is the best one. But for some countries I don't know if this map is any true. So I think this is the list of the most popular beer brands from every European country outside their own country. Europeans, do you agree? This map shows which countries launched strikes on Israel earlier this year and which countries helped them. Looking at it, isn't it funny that 50 years ago Israel's main enemies were Egypt and Jordan, and Iran was in good relations with Israel? Some things do change, am I right? The world map of the most popular metal bands of each country according to Spotify as of 2024. Here's a closer look of Europe. For Italy, I think Windrose should be the correct answer as they have more monthly listeners than Lacuna Coil. Italians, do you agree? Here's a closer look for East Asia, Southeast Asia and Australia and New Zealand. Now the same thing with Central America and South America. And finally, South Asia and Africa. And you know what, I better not translate the band name in South Africa because I might get demonetized. Yeah. What you're looking at is the evolution of high-speed railway lines in China in 12 years. This is just impressive, isn't it? In California, they can't even get 3 miles of track done in 15 years. And in China, it's crazy how fast they were able to do this. I wish more countries could follow this. And if you think why there aren't any railways in Western China, it's mostly mountains and deserts, so that's understandable. Oi mate, this one's pretty crazy, isn't it? Well, apparently the United States and Australia fit together almost perfectly. How beautiful. And do you know what's even better? There would be a new river called the Atlantic River. How cool is that? But no, seriously speaking, I don't think the United States wants all the spiders from Australia in their coast. Am I right, Americans? How safe do people feel to walk alone at night in Europe in 2024? On this map, Brussels really messes up the good image of Belgium, and the same thing goes for certain cities in Sweden and France. I personally have visited most of European countries. Of course, I feel the safest in Estonia, but leaving my home country out, I felt the safest in Porto, Portugal, and the least safest in Kaunas, Lithuania, even though it's not that dangerous. I don't know, the vibe was just a bit off. Sorry, Lithuanians. Let's move on with another map, the most common immigrant group in every Japanese region. And you might be as confused as I am. What the hell are Brazilians doing in Japan? Can someone explain this to me? And what's even weirder is that when we look at the most common immigrant group in Brazil, there are also Japanese people there. Is this a coincidence or what is going on here? Well, you politics fans, this one is for you. The global G20 leaders approval rating. Some are approved higher, some are approved lower. Erdogan cannot go higher because he just had a massive lose in recent election. But also, they forgot Putin's 101% of approval. How dumb of them. But overall, people living in the G20 countries, are you happy with your leader or not? Oi mate, here we are again. The climate of Australia compared to the world. Australians, do you confirm that is this part of Australia actually as cold as Finland? Meanwhile, it's Sahara Desert almost next to it. I'm not so sure. But leaving that out, I think it's pretty freaking cool how Australian climate is so variable. Even though I don't think I will ever travel there because of the freaking wildlife. Well, this one is for you TikTok fans. This is the TikTok censorship worldwide. Did you know that TikTok has a thing called reversed censorship in Russia comparing to other sites? The government hasn't actually banned it, but TikTok banned Russian users from accessing any non-Russian content. And how smart of China to ban it in China itself. I've heard that they have their own version of TikTok that is heavily monitored and is somewhat more educational. The most consumed alcoholic beverage in every country of the world. It looks like North and South Americans as well as Australians love their beer, while Asia, the Caribbean, Eastern Europe and Russia prefers spirit drinks. That probably means rice wine, rum and vodka. But I wonder, what do these Central and Western Africans consume? I tried googling, but that also didn't help. Anyone knows? This one is for you coffee lovers. The coffee consumption around the world. Well, without a doubt, Scandinavia is ruling this map. In some countries, such as Finland and other Nordic countries, each person is drinking up to 8 kilos or 17 pounds of coffee per year. Here's a fun chart also. Actually, the Netherlands is the country that consumes the most coffee. 8.3 kilos for every person is crazy. Just imagine, 8.3 kilos. Every person on average. This means that some consume even more, and I'm not sure whether this is healthy anymore. The average IQ according to Lin and Van Hanen in 2012. It might not be that accurate, but Finland has the highest IQ in Europe with 101 points and Albania has the lowest IQ in Europe with 82 points. What about you? Have you ever done an IQ test and how much did you get? Tell me in the comments. Another map of Europe because I know you love them. This time, the average eye color in every European country. Now you listen up because I'm gonna name you the rarest eye colors. Brown with 65%, blue with around 10%, hazel with also around 10% and green with 2%. Now I feel special because I actually have green eyes. That's cool. This is the driving orientation map of the world. Does your country drive on the left or on the right? Well, most of the world drives on the right, meanwhile the UK, South Africa, India, Japan and Australia, Indonesia, New Zealand drive on the left. Look, even Antarctica drives on the right. This is the oceanic pole of inaccessibility, also known as Point Nemo. It is the place in the ocean that is farthest away from land. Can you believe it? It's about 2,700 kilometers or 1.6 thousand miles away from the nearest land. This one shows us the world divided into 8 regions with 1 billion people in each. The fact that Asia is divided into so many colors is crazy. Meanwhile, Americas is just one color. And Europe plus Russia as well. Imagine if these colors were all countries. Which color would take over the world? What do you think? Here's a map showing all the politicians killed in Mexico since the start of this year, 2024. God damn. Well, we must admit the drugs have won the war. I went to Mexico last year and it's true. The cartels control everything, even the avocados now. Chinga la madre, güey. Mexicanos, cuéntenme, ¿cómo se siente vivir en México ahora? This map shows us the percentage of people that say they wash their hands with soap after going to the toilet. Italianos and Dutch people, I need some explanations. Why don't you wash your hands after going to the toilet? Anyways, Balkans and Turkish are doing a really good job. As we can see, Bosnia is leading this map. These countries are hosting the most refugees in the world. A refugee is a person that has to escape their country because of war or a natural disaster. Some sources tell us that in the world there are between 35 to 130 million refugees. I honestly don't know what to believe anymore, but the numbers are absolutely crazy. Anyways, it looks like they increased Australia's landmass and removed New Zealand. Ah, what a classic. Well, these are the countries that had people displayed at zoos. It might be surprising, but there's a bunch of countries missing from this list. For example, Switzerland and Canada. Throughout the history, there have been around 35,000 people displayed at zoos, but most of them were paid, but some weren't. The most populous cities in every European country. The green color means that it's the capital and the red color means that it is not the capital. Interestingly, the most populous city in all of Europe, Istanbul, with 15 million people, is not the capital of Turkey. Do you know what the real capital of Turkey is? Tell me in the comments. And if you get it right, I will give you a heart. I promise. Here's a map showing when countries were introduced to the television. Liechtenstein and Botswana didn't get TV until 2008. This was 80 years after the first country with TVs, the United States. Television stations started in the US in 1939. But in India, the television was first introduced in 1959. Coats of arms of European countries. I love how it's either the simplest design possible or the most baroque design possible, no in between. But overall, I think Andorra wins because they have 2 cows in their coats of arms. Finland's one looks like it has a retarded lion that's stabbing itself in the head. Suomi perkele. Tell me, which one is your personal favorite and your least favorite? This next map shows us the grapes yield in every country. China is the largest producer of grapes with 17% of global production. Then Italy comes second at 12% and the third place goes to France at 8%. But here's a more detailed map for you, take a look at it. The countries by grape production in 2020. Take a look at this, here's a comic map of Europe in the year 1871. I love how Scandinavia is just chilling, relaxing and smoking a pipe while the entire continent is in chaos. Switzerland as well is portrayed really well here. But surprise surprise, Russia hasn't changed much, haven't they? This map shows us the world's happiest people. The darker the color green is, the happier they are. As you all may know, for 7 consecutive years, Finland has been named as the happiest country in the world, followed by Iceland and Denmark. And the least happy country in the world is Afghanistan, followed by Lebanon. Tell me, are you happy with your life? The population changed in Britain and Ireland between 1821 and 2019. Isn't it just crazy how Ireland had more than half of Britain's population at that time? But nowadays, England and Wales really exploded in population, didn't they? Just imagine what the population will be in 50 years. How will the people fit in these isles? This one is for you, Viking fans. What we can see is the Viking raids and settlements from the 8th to 11th century. And who knew that they held power of such large territories in Russia? Vikings were actually the first ones to reach America, before Christopher Columbus. And it's just crazy to think that they even reached Sicily and Paris. I found this really interesting app or website. It shows us every mountains, buildings and tree shadow in the world in real time. This is great for photography and new house buyers, especially here in the north of Estonia where I live. Go check it out, I'm really sure it has your house in there. Are you closer to Georgia or are you closer to Georgia? Yes, this map is a tricky one. Actually, it shows you, are you closer to the country, Georgia, or are you closer to the United States state, Georgia? If my eyes don't lie, the country of Georgia wins clearly here. It has more countries closer to it. Where do international students of the United States come from? At any given time, there is about 1 million international students in the US. Almost 500,000 students only from China and India in the US. That's almost half of the population of my home country, Estonia. What's even more crazy is that South Korea is the third, given its small population. They really do love the United States. Countries that have never won a medal in the Olympics. Just to tell you, this map has not been updated since Tokyo 2020, so some countries have won a medal. But still, Bangladesh with almost 180 million population with 0 medals is a bit shocking, to be honest. And you know what, the next Pope elected should be chosen for their athletic skills, so Vatican City can finally win one. The most populous countries expected in 2100. That means in 76 years. I don't know whether to believe the Nigerian population or no. Almost 800 million seems too much, that's more than China. And China is expected to lose, what, 700 million in 75 years, Jesus. And the Indian population will also decline. Indians watching this video, can you explain? How many Europeans born before World War I are still alive? That means before 1915. Imagine being 110 years old and still being listed as the youngest person in something. Well, I know some people in my home country that have more than 100 years of age, and it's crazy how differently age touches people. Some 100s are kicking ass, while some 70s and 60s are already tired. Who would win this hypothetical war, the Roman Empire or this US Marine ship? Leaving all the jokes aside, if this was made as a book or filmed as a movie, I would definitely read or watch this one. But now to think sober, which one do you actually think would win and why? I personally think the US Marine ship. Which of the 7 modern wonders of the world is closest to you? Let me try to pronounce all of this. Chichen Itza, Machu Picchu, Christ the Redeemer, Colosseum, Petra, Taj Mahal, and the Great Wall of China. Personally, I have only been to one of them, to the Christ the Redeemer. And to be honest, I really don't know why it is one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. It wasn't nothing that special, if you know what I mean. Here's a map about the Ukraine-Russian war. Here are the 6 scenarios for Ukraine after Russia's invasion according to Euractiv. You know, many wars can easily be described as pointless, but this one probably especially can be called as pointless. First of all, Russia. You're cutting yourself off from wealthy markets and killing your new generations of men. There is literally no victory left for anyone here. What a terrible waste of everything. As the Olympics are still going on, let's talk more about it. These are all the countries that are banned actually from the Olympics. Oh well, 1920 to 1940. What a time period, am I right? But it could be worse because New Zealand was banned off the map. Afghanistan was banned in 2000, but not now. That is crazy. What do you think? Now, I think that if hypocrisy was mapped, then this would be it. The global rat distribution map. Can someone explain to me what the hell happened in Alberta that rats don't want to go there? But anyway, as we can see, if you want to get rid of rats, then you have to go to Iceland or Greenland or Alberta for some reason. Because rats live literally everywhere in the world. Oh, and I forgot, Antarctica and Arctica as well. These are the host cities for the 2030 FIFA World Cup. I know you may be asking, wasn't the 2030 FIFA World Cup supposed to be in South America? Yes. As far as I know, the first 3 games will be played in South America and the other games in these places. Imagine, those games at Marrakech during summer will be like hell. Also, July in Madrid, Sevilla and Malaga also cracks 40 pretty regularly, so that's crazy. Here's an updated map of Venezuela's election map after 80% of votes have been accounted for. Venezuelans and South Americans watching this video, you know more. What do you think? Is there a civil war coming or no? For those who don't know, even though this map shows that Maduro lost, he got re-elected again. And he is a dictator. The US states by violent crime rate. It's pretty funny to compare Alaska and Maine. One of them is the most northern west state and one of them is the most northern eastern state. But as we can see, all in all, southern United States is much more dangerous than northern United States. Americans watching this video, tell me in the comments, how do you feel living in your state right now? Do you feel safe? Can you, for example, go out at night or no? Forget about coffee and tea. Here's a map showing which countries drink the most alcohol in the world. The first place goes to Cook Islands, second place to Latvia, third place to Czech Republic, fourth place to Lithuania and fifth place to Austria. To be honest, I'm surprised that Russia or Germany aren't on this list. But anyways, Europeans love to drink the most alcohol. Let's continue with the alcohol. This map shows the most consumed and the most popular alcoholic drinks by country. Well, surprise surprise, beer is actually the most popular drink in the world, right after water and tea. The second place goes to wine and the third place goes to spirits. Let's move on with the highest consumption of coffee and tea worldwide. Which countries drink more coffee and which countries drink more tea? Japan, to be honest, surprised me, and Chile is messing everything up in this hemisphere. If I'm correct by looking at this map, there are more tea drinking countries than coffee lovers. I personally prefer tea as well. What about you? Coffee or tea? This map shows us the most favorite TV shows across Europe. I will let you enjoy this map on your own for a few seconds, I won't disturb you. Now, as an Estonian, I really don't want to explain this. Actually, I haven't seen this one, so that's why. Germans, is the series Dark really your favorite TV show? Overall, Europeans love crime, comedy and action the most. This is the percentage of people who feel their country has too many immigrants. Greece, Cyprus and Ireland are leading this map. However, I think Turkey would probably be around 110%. Am I right, Turkish people? But overall, as we can see, most of Europeans are not happy with so many immigrants. If you're from Europe, tell me, what do you think? People from Ireland, this is for you. Here's a map showing the Irish population in 1841 versus today. Did you know that in 1841 Ireland had a larger population than Egypt? But yeah, the central counties were hit really hard. It is estimated that about 1 million people died and over 1 million left for the United States over a period of only 5 years. And the people that died because of the Irish famine. This map shows us the Mongol and the British Empire, the two of the biggest empires in history, on one map. It's pretty insane that the two biggest empires in history only overlap in a couple of places. But what's even crazier is that 2 billion people speak English, whereas only 3 million people speak Mongolian right now. If you had to choose, where would you rather live? The Mongolian Empire or the British Empire? The states in blue have a smaller population than the Los Angeles County in red. I must admit, that is a lot more than I would have thought. As of this year, around 10 million people live in the Los Angeles County. I have been there 4 years ago and it was really crowded, but there were also so many homeless people, it surprised me. And to make it even more crazy, California, the state, has a higher population than Canada. Where deserts can be found around the world. Now, the light red indicates that the desert climate is much more drier than the dark red. Overall, there are 23 deserts in the world. The hottest can be found in Iran, it's the Lab Desert, and the coldest can be found in Antarctica, even though it's not demonstrated on this map. Tell me, have you ever been to a desert? This next map shows us the average male height in centimeters in every European country. As we can see, the Netherlands is the tallest, followed by Montenegro and Estonia, and Cyprus is the shortest, followed by Albania and Bulgaria. What actually surprised me is that Italians as well are really short, I didn't know that. But again, a question for you, my subscribers, how tall are you? Where are the most prisoners in the world? I don't think it comes as a surprise that the United States has the most prisoners. 629 prisoners for 100,000 people is wild. Meanwhile, San Marino has 0. Listen up, there are more than 10.3 million people locked up around the world, and more than 2.2 million are located in the United States. Turkey, you also surprised me. What happened? Did you know that only 3 dams could turn half of Czechia into a gigantic ocean? If you blew up these 3 dams, then Europe would finally get its Great Lake, and I mean, Germany has the opportunity to pull a real funny move here. Anyways, is this the moment when Czech Republic will finally get sea access? Guys, let's talk about Eurovision. This next map shows us which country gave the most points to every European country in the last 20 years. Plus Australia for some reason. So basically, if you're from the United Kingdom, then Ireland gave you the most points, and if you're from Ireland, then the United Kingdom gave you the most points. Also, you gotta love the Baltic and Finnish love triangle. Another Eurovision map because why not? The most recent Eurovision Song Contest win by country. Yes, lordy, good memories, back when Eurovision was Eurovision, not what it is today. Anyways, I'm pretty surprised that countries like Romania, Poland, the Czech Republic and Belarus, for example, have never won Eurovision, even though they have some really good singers. Tell me, what has been your favorite Eurovision song of all times? What you are looking at is the map showing the life expectancy in the world in the 19th century. You know, the reason life expectancy was so low in the past was because so many children died. Yes, people actually made it to 80 years old, but so many children died. Now, as we can see, today the life expectancy is so much higher. To take into comparison, the 19th century world average was around 30 years, but today it's around 74 years. That's 40 years more. How many cities with a population of over 100,000 people does each state have? California, of course, is leading this map, but it's so weird that Pennsylvania only has 3, despite being the 5th largest US state population-wise. But you know, looking at this map, many of these cities are just suburbs of metropolitan areas. I mean, to be honest, 5 of the 9 cities for Nevada are really just Las Vegas. Estimated number of sex workers per 100,000 people. Now, my only wonder is whether this also counts stuff like OnlyFans or not. Basically, 1 out of every 50 women in Russia are sex workers, and now if you do the math, every 13th woman from the ages of 18 to 40 is a sex worker. Damn. I know you're curious, so here's also a closer look of Europe. I love how Liechtenstein has a zoom to show that there's no data. I know, many of you have already seen this one, but for the new subscribers, here's a map showing every pub in the United Kingdom. We understand you Brits, you like to drink. And I mean, this map is helpful as well. I know that pretty much everywhere I go, I will find a pub. And while Great Britain has pubs, Poland has churches. Hallelujah, many of them. I actually tried to find out the exact number, but some sources tell me there are 10,000 churches and others tell me there are 300,000 churches. Polish people, I need your help here. How many churches do you actually have? Map of Europe if all the ice melts. So basically, if this happens, you need to stay in Switzerland, the Czech Republic or Slovakia. Netherlands is basically gone, and I don't think Putin will also be happy about the Russian territory losses. Did you know that the highest chance to be robbed by pirates is in the Gulf of Guinea, with 47% of piracy happening there? Then, in the second place comes the world famous Somalia and their pirates with 30%. And finally, the Strait of Malacca in Indonesia with 19%. But I thought the Caribbean would be worse. Why so? The most common nationalities other than German in Germany. In the north, there are Ukrainians. In Bavaria, there are Romanians. In the west, there are the Turkish, and here, there are the most Syrians. But to be honest, Romanians in Bavaria really surprised me. Germans, tell me, is this map any true? Area claimed by the People's Republic of China in the South China Sea. That means basically all of it. Yeah, China definitely doesn't have new imperialist goals with Southeast Asia. You know, if China totally gains control of this sea, then China will start claiming Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia as their own territories. Oh well, we really are close to World War III, aren't we? The situation right now is the same as it was before World War II. This next map shows us the population growth in Western European countries between 1950 and 2020. To be honest, it's surprising that Italy was more populous than France after World War II. I think that if World War I never happened, then Germany would have probably reached 80 million plus population in the late 1920s. Can you believe that Turkey gained over 60 million people while Germany at the same time gained only 15 million? And 3 or 4 million out of them are Turkish in Germany. This map shows us the percentage of people who think the United States should be declared as a Christian state. But to make it a Christian nation, that would go against all the founding principles of the United States of America, the land of freedom. But now, isn't it interesting when we compare this map to the homicide rate and the pregnancy rate? The world's most powerful passports in 2024. The weakest passport in the world goes to Afghanistan. However, the strongest are France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Singapore and Japan with access to 194 countries. They should form a kind of club for most powerful passports. But from what I remember, Japan actually had the most powerful passport in the world till very recently. And usually red passports are better than blue ones. More stronger. This next map shows us, is it legal to cook lobsters alive in Europe? If you take a careful look, the countries that do not cook lobsters alive, they have something similar. They are not a part of the European Union. In the end, it's always about the lobsters in the United Kingdom, Switzerland and Norway, huh? Well, actually, this is terrible. No freaking animal should go through such death, being boiled alive. This is the Mexico Safety Travel Map by the United States. Well, last year I visited Mexico in these red parts and nothing happened actually. I was there for 2 weeks and for a second didn't I feel being in danger. Of course, it is actually really dangerous if you do something stupid, but just keep low profile and don't go out at night. It should be fine. Also, having a local friend is the best. The driving directions in Europe around 1922. The mixed means that in some parts of the country people drive on the right side and in some parts of the country people drive on the left side. For example, Italy. Even today Italianos drive both directions at will. But in nowadays Europe it's mostly on the right side. Tell me, on which side do people in your country drive? This map shows us the most common country of birth for foreign-born residents, excluding Mexico. In the United States there are 2.8 million Indians, 2.2 million Chinese and 2 million people from the Philippines. However, there are 10 million from Mexico. As we can see, Canadians are just building a way to Mexico, aren't you? And lastly, imagine you're from the Philippines and you have to face the Alaskan weather. Oh my god. This is where the water stress will be the highest by 2050. Northern Africa and Middle East are really messed up, as well as India, Spain and South Africa. But you know that this will probably cause mass immigration, so it will be a problem for the entire world. Tell me, right now in your country or in your house, can you drink tap water or no? Well, look at this. Did you know that half of the world's GDP is in 3.6% of land area? That means United States, Western Europe, some Middle Eastern and Asian countries are the richest in the world. And what about Australians? I didn't know you were that rich. Here's a fun language map. This is how the Germanic word for soap reached Aboriginal Australia. Alright, let me try this. At first it was saipe, then it was soap. Again saipe, sapo, sapon, sappona, sabun, sabun, sabun and yabu. Did I say it right? Yabu. This next map shows us how do you sneeze in different European languages. As you can see, in Estonian we say achich, in Russian you say arpchiki, in Spain we say achu, in Poland we say achik, in Turkey we say apchu. Here we can see the religion in Germany. 34.5% is Protestant, 32.2% is Catholic, and 29% is not religious. Tell me in the comments, are you religious and what religion? How many years an area has been ruled by the Roman Empire? Isn't it crazy? Athens has been under the control of the Roman Empire more than Rome itself. I know, you might be a bit confused, but the reason for this is the Eastern Roman Empire. It lasted around 1,000 years more than the Western Roman Empire. And as well, the Romans stayed in England longer than the United States has been a country. How crazy is that? Here's a map showing the overview of the slave trade out of Africa from the 16th to 20th century. I just learned that there were also people taken from Eastern Africa to India as slaves. As of 2024, there are still small settlements of African Indians known as cities. But listen up, slavery wasn't just during these years, it has always been with humanity. Throughout history. I'm making this video and you're watching this video without no problems. We're both lucky. But now, more onto the bright side. This is the Taylor Swift's airplane travel history in 2023. In only 1 year. Now the reason there are 2 planes is that one is for Taylor herself and the other one is for important crew members who will travel ahead to organize everything. But now about the negative effects. Her carbon footprint is probably more than everyone watching this video all summed up together. A lot more. And I mean, sure, I don't blame her because that's the way she can hide from every other paparazzi. In the end, I neutralize it by sorting trash in my house. This next one shows us the percentage of Europeans who approve their monarchies. Monarchy means that you don't have a president, you have a king or a queen. As we can see, only Spain disapproves of their monarchy. Other countries seem to be quite happy. Also, I've heard that the only reason why the Dutch love their monarchy is because of the annual parties that erupt throughout the country. Dutch people, is this true? But to make it more interesting, has the popularity of the royals in European monarchies increased or decreased in recent years? Well, it has only increased in Norway and Denmark. What's up, Europe? The worldwide tipping map. This map shows tipping customs at restaurants in different countries around the world. Basically, do you have to leave money to the servant or no? For example, as we can see, in Japan, you get insulted if you leave a tip. And yet, in the United States, it's expected for you to tip around 15 to 20% of the cost of the food. Bruh. Now you tell me, how much do you tip in your country? Or do you even tip? The GDP per capita in every European country. As we can see, well, it shouldn't be surprising, then Eastern Europe is much more poorer than Western European countries. Luxembourg, Ireland and Switzerland are Europe's richest countries. And the poorest is Ukraine at the moment, of course because of the war. While 44,000 is the average European GDP per capita, in Ukraine it's only 6. But you know what, I don't really believe this GDP per capita map, because according to it, everyone in Ireland must have a Bentley and an English slave by now. Percentage of the population of each Soviet republic that died in World War II. Belarus, I'm sorry, 25% is brutal. That means every 4th person died. How horrible can war be? And you know, the odds of dying were much more worse if you just look at men who were asked to join the army. I'm from Estonia and both of my great-grandpas fought in World War II and they survived to tell me stories about it. Both of them have passed away, but they were the real men. Again, let's move on to the more bright side. This is how the word soda takes over the United States. Americans explain. Do you really say Coke when you want to order Pepsi? I am confused as hell. And I'm being honest, this is the first time I've heard of the word pop. I guess because it's dying out. But yes, Coke and pop are slowly losing their regional variants. And you know what I'm gonna say? It's soda pressing. Monoethnic countries of the world. Countries where 85+% of the population belongs to one ethnicity. In Iceland, I've heard rumors that since their population is so low, they pay foreigners to marry Icelandic people just to avoid an Alabama moment. You never know. And that also explains why my Finnish friends are so wild. It's because of the Alabama moment. Yeah, whatever, this got weird. Let's move on. Well, the stink bug invasion in the United States. As you can see, 20 years ago there was no stink bugs in the United States, but as of 2024 they are really common across the entire country. Listen up, this little bastard is terrible. I have spent a lot of weeks in the forest of Estonia now that I'm in the military, and the forest is full of them and they stink terrible. It's their protection reflex and it's impossible to get the smell out of your clothes. Let's move on. This is how the United Kingdom and Ireland can be seen from space. I know you might be a bit confused. Why is England so orange? This was taken during one of the hottest heat waves on record in England. It normally doesn't look like a desert. Anyways, these satellite images are amazing. Today I learned that Ireland is much more bigger than I thought, and Scotland seems so small. But I guess it's just about the angle. Another European map, because I know you love them. These are the most visited cities in Europe as of 2023, so last year. Basically, how many people visited these cities in millions? If you think about it, the amount of tourists in Amsterdam is insane, especially if you consider it's about 10 times smaller than the size of London or Paris. As well, I'm actually a bit surprised to see that Barcelona is the second most visited city. It only has a population of 1.5 million, that means they get 20 tourists for every citizen. Recognition of Israel by country. Still, most of the countries in the world recognize Israel. It's mostly the countries nearby that don't. What about your country? Do you recognize Israel or not? Before we continue, this map is a bit outdated since Colombia withdrew relations with Israel and South Africa as well, if I'm right. Yeah, this will start a war in the comments. Here's a map showing the difficulty of life being born in every country of the world. And I love how Australia is considered as Dark Souls of life, probably because of the spiders. As you all know, I'm from Estonia, but I don't consider life in Estonia being the hard mode. It should be normal. Here it is, the most popular sport in every single country. Yeah, alright, soccer is dominating the world, but what about basketball in China? What the hell? Huh? Take a look at this. Countries in orange drive on the left, meanwhile countries in blue drive on the right. Yeah, 70% of the world drives on the right, but it's mostly South African and countries near Indonesia that drive on the left. What about your country? I'm serving my time right now in the Estonian army, and here are all the countries that have a mandatory military service. You know, while most of the countries have a military, Iceland is just chilling there with their freaking volcanoes. Alright, you car freaks, here's a map for you. The world's top selling car brands in Europe in 2022. And while we can't see the most selling car brand in Monaco, it is Mercedes and Porsche. Yeah, what a surprise, right? Another map of Europe, because you like it. The highest mountain in every country. How fast can you find the country with the highest mountain in Europe? Well, if you didn't find it, it's Mount Elbrus in Russia with over 5,600 meters. This guy from Reddit called basically Callum created a map of Europe with cookies. How cool is that? And I must say, as a geography nerd, he did it pretty freaking well. Believe it or not, but this is the shortest route from Chile, Santiago to Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. And what is even crazier is that this is almost a straight line. The largest foreign community in each country of Americas, the Chinese community in Canada, Mexicans in the United States and Americans in Mexico. Isn't that just perfect? Meanwhile, South America is just chilling there with themselves. And of course, the Chinese. I lived in South America for 1 year and I can tell you that the Chinese are probably gonna take over the continent soon. Another map of Europe, because I know you love them. This time it's the comparison of stop traffic signs in different European countries. It's all fun and games until... Are you closer to Georgia, the country, or are you closer to Georgia, the US state? And as an Estonian, I must say, I'm surprised that I'm closer to Georgia. Every color that you see contains about 10% of the world's population. But now theoretically, let's say, which color would win the world war? To be brutally honest, I think orange would win the battle. What you're seeing are the literal translations of country names all around the world. Probably the guy who did them just put the country name in Google Translation and got the answer. I don't know about how accurate these are. But I love that Finland is just land. Suomi perkele. We already talked about the mandatory military service. This time, what do European countries call their military forces? Now someone explain to me, why do people from Holland call their military forces war power? The most violent cities in the world. These are the cities with the most homicides per 100,000 inhabitants in 2022. Now, I'm as white as I could be and I went to Michoacán last year, and I can tell you that if you don't do anything stupid, nothing will happen to you. Probably. The comparison of the most popular browsers in the world in 2012 versus 10 years later in 2022. Yeah, Google Chrome has taken over the world. Here's a map of the United States showing the largest white ancestry in every US county. I actually didn't know that there was so much Finnish and Norwegian ancestry in northern United States. This is called Arabic colonialism. Compare these 2 years, 540 versus 2022. How crazy is that? Here's an illustration of Earth's continents that shows us what our world actually looks like. And every time you see something like this, it just blows your mind how huge Africa actually is. The size of the Roman Empire at its height compared to the United States. If you guess the exact year that Roman Empire looked like this, I will give you a heart in the comments. I will try, I promise. It once used to be the world's biggest empire, but now this is what's left of the United Kingdom and its allies. And now just imagine if all of those countries united in a one big empire. Bonjour le France, something for the French people. Here's the most common immigrant in every French region. How do you think this will all look like in, let's say, 15 years? The same map, but this time with Deutschland, the most common immigrant in every German region. Yeah, the Turkish really have taken over, haven't they? Here's the map you probably saw from the thumbnail if I didn't change it. Android versus Apple by continent. And as a dedicated cult member of Android, I must say I like what I'm seeing. How is your name written? In what order? Is it your first name plus surname? Or is it the other way around? Or is it your first name plus your father's name, like it is in Iceland? Take a look at this. An interesting map showing us the usual name order in every European country. Mamma mia, pizzeria, something for Italia. These are the 8 different ways to divide Italy. Everything from religion to whether Italians prefer butter or olive oil. You know what, while we already mentioned olive oil versus butter, take a look at this cool map. Which one do Europeans prefer, olive oil or butter? Most of Europe prefers butter. Meanwhile, the Mediterranean countries definitely like olive oil, don't you guys? Another example of how China is taking over the world. This map shows us the largest non-African nationality in each African country. Yeah, why do you think the Chinese are in Africa? The next FIFA World Cup will take place in Canada, Mexico and the United States. Here are all the cities, and this one guy on Reddit said, reminder that there is a round of 16 game in Philadelphia on July the 4th. Now just imagine if the US makes it and plays the game against England. This is a normal map of Antarctica versus compared to a map of Antarctica without any ice. And if we continue how we continue as humans, it will probably be like this in some 100 years. The world according to Google Street View in May 2024. It is cool to see that new countries are being added as well, because I know that Germany and Austria weren't on this map before. Now Germany was added June of last year and Austria was added a few years ago. Can you imagine showing this to people 100 years ago, the Google Street View? Well, even to our parents, this is a crazy development. And if you understand me, Belarus is the new Germany. Here are all the countries where more than 20% of the population is aged plus 65. Basically, countries where the current young generation won't retire. And countries that have many years of economic difficulties ahead of them. You know, there is one country that nearly made it but didn't. The United Kingdom is at 19%. I think that without immigration it would be significantly more. One more thing, I think they missed South Korea on this map as well. It should be red. A world map found in the lobby of a Chinese hotel. It is interesting that the only two named countries are China, which was obvious, and the United States. Everything else is just continents. But it honestly looks like they're taking a crap on Australia, and they forgot to include Tasmania. But New Zealand is there. Kiwis will love this. But all in all, this is probably just a map of China with a world map as background, which is unfortunate. A map of the United States with almost all of its proposed states. Yeah, I think we're gonna need a bigger flag. You know, I'm having a hard time deciding which one of these is the most absurd. Maybe McDonald or North Slope. Bro, North Slope has like 5 people, and Nevada without Las Vegas or Reno would have no population at all. Americans, what do you think about this? Is there actually any proposed state that would benefit you? Now, you listen carefully because this is interesting. None of the countries that bordered Poland before 1990 exist today. Basically, 4 countries enter, 1 country leaves, and that 1 country is Poland. I have always said to people that Polish people are the strongest people. This is the best example of it. And what the hell, Germany looks like it's eating Czechoslovakia. Well, it did at one point. Okay. Another European map, because I know you love them again. Every dot you see is a football pitch. This is a crazy map. How the hell did they get the data for every single football pitch? Must be a hell of a work. And Americans, football means soccer. You know, honestly, I expected more football pitches to be in England, and you might be asking, why are there so few in Spain? Basically, it's pretty empty, low population density, and they are one of the best football players in the world. Vamos arriba España, coño! Peak of the largest empires in history, the Mongol Empire and the British Empire. Look, I have no idea whether I've already used this map in my previous videos, but still, it is pretty insane to think that the 2 of the biggest empires in history only overlap in a couple places. To think Mongols really were speedrunning Asia, unlocking those islands quick like in GTA. These 2 empires are making the Roman Empire and the Ottoman Empire look like city-states. This is Cyprus, an island divided. Many people have no freaking idea what the hell is going on in Cyprus, so this map helps explain. You might be asking, what is this line? Well, it's a corridor connecting the 2 bits of the military base. I kept thinking and thinking, if you look at the shape of Cyprus, it actually reminds of the United States a bit. Now that we're already talking about the Mediterranean countries, it's all about perspective. This is the Mediterranean Sea, but have you ever seen it this way? It looks so narrow, but now we turn it and yeah, it really changes the perspective, doesn't it? Isn't it funny that Turkey looks like Michigan? I always knew it. Map of the 2191 meter deep Grubera cave. The deepest known cave system in the world. This cave is located in Georgia, close to the Russian border. And I feel claustrophobic just by looking at that. You know, this is that one cave in Minecraft where I give up trying to find my way back up. People from Georgia watching this video, tell me, have you ever been to that cave? Before, in this video, we took a look at all of the football pitches in Europe. Now, this map shows us the tennis court density of Europe. East Germany is visible here. and Czechia can into Western Europe. But damn, South England does love some tennis. What is even more impressive is that there are basically no tennis courts in Serbia and Djokovic is just a legend. This map is basically aka every European map. This very last map of this video shows us the hair colors of the world, which will be the most populous countries by the end of this century, 2100. Tanzania at the 10th position with 186 million people and India at the first place with 1 billion. Yeah, they actually believe the Indian population will start to decline. But all in all, it is said that the population will be over 10 billion in 80 years. The countries in red is where Russian cars are not allowed to enter. Yes, due to the war, if you have a Russian number plate, you're banned from entering, for example, my home country Estonia and some other European countries. No blядь. The most popular video streaming services around the world, Europe, Latin America and Australia are dominated by Netflix, while the United States and Canada have Prime Video. What's happening with Asia and Africa? Well, cultural and lingual differences, I guess, but Disney in India, that is questionable. Our sweet world in war. Basically, all the countries in any color have some type of conflict in or outside, and if my eyes don't lie, Oceania is the only continent with no war. America's with the drug war, Africa with civil wars and terrorism is just sad, and well, Europe and Asia, you all know it. This video shows you the Native American land loss in the United States. You know, a recent study estimates that the indigenous people in the US have lost nearly 99% of the land they historically occupied. That is crazy. I'm pretty sure many people have no idea, so take a good look. These were the territorial changes in Israel and Palestine for the past 100 years, from 1920 to 2008. These maps show us the history. Yeah, war is a terrible thing. What's the percentage of the population in European countries that has a black skin color? Well, I think France alone beats the entire continent, probably. Eastern Europe and the Balkans is mostly 0.01%, but mark my words, in 10 years it will all look like Scandinavia. From football to water polo, from cricket to volleyball, these countries are all the current world champions in men's major sports. And what do you think? Who will be the next football world champion or the cricket world champion? The greener your country is, the less censored your country is, and well, Asia is just messed up. But oh man, you just gotta love Mongolia, carrying the whole continent of Asia. Suomi, Hrvatska, Magur, oh, what the hell. Actually, these are the names of some European countries whose country name in their native language is completely different from their name in English. All of the foreign casualties of the Israel-Hamas war. Tell me, how is it freaking possible that 30 people from Thailand and 10 people from Nepal have also lost their lives in this terrible situation, and even one of my own? The older I get, the more I understand how the human is the worst animal on this planet. Which countries gamble the most? This map shows us where adults lose the most money to gambling per year on average. God damn it, Singapore. You say no to drugs, but yes to minus $1,174 a year. Whatever. Even Finns lose over $500 a year to gambling. Suomi perkele. What you're looking at is the North Korean visa entering situation. Countries that can enter North Korea without the visa are in pink. I must say, Albania is powerful, but Zimbabwe, let's freaking go. But all the jokes aside, I would actually like to visit North Korea, as I just read the book of Kim Jong-un. Drawn on a napkin at the Yalta conference, this was Churchill's vision of Europe. Germany is split into 4 regions, Soviet Union gets what they want, my sweet Estonia, and Cyprus will be moved next to Italy. Perfect. But actually, what do you think about this plan Churchill had? Based on Google Trends search data over the past 12 months, here are the most popular classic rock bands in every United States state. Americans watching this video, can you confirm? Europe, but Europe colonized it.
What the?
Yeah, whoever did this is a genius, but I don't think Russia likes it. Fascinating! Here's a map of countries arranged by geographical location.
Bruh.
Did you know that if you took the country of Zimbabwe, dragged it all the way across the world to China, then dropped it on China, at least 7 people would die?
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Iceland will help you understand what dyslexia looks like. I'm pretty sure Icelandic people just mashed their keyboard to come up with these crazy names. Countries with an AK-47 on their flag. To be honest, there's only one country with an AK-47 on their flag, and that is Mozambique in Eastern Africa. Americans. Oh my god, guys, I am traveling to Europe. Alright, let's play a fun game. Where is New Zealand? No data. No, that's Australia. No data, but red for some reason. Here's the definite solution to the Israel-Palestine conflict, but the map is zoomed in on the wrong part of the world. Yeah. Whoa. Fascinating. Here's the map of Earth if there was no land this time. If you actually watched this video, I am deeply concerned. Like, there are so many other good things you should do, like go to the gym or read a book. But anyways, thank you.